again.
Yo, what is going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to episode 17 of the Code With Me with AI the Right Way series. Today, we're going to be building and diving into how you can go ahead and take something like a normal e-commerce brand and completely elevate it to the state that it should be today with AI features and a whole bunch more. We're going to dive into what a normal website would do and how we can massively improve that process and get your agent to do it the entire way. Welcome to the stream. Smash the like button. Let me know where you're watching it from right now. I can see the chat already popping off. Let's go ahead and dive into a complete demo. Now, I've given you a full, amazing demo here. The code base, everything is available down below in the description. So if you appreciate that, do me a second favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's dive into the demo. Welcome to the stream, Papa Fam. Let's get into it. So we have Trailhead. Check it out, guys. So let's set the scene here, okay? We have our e-commerce brand, right? So in this case, let's take a shop like this, for example, right? Firstly, looks damn nice, and I've given you the code for all of this once again. But the difference here is something which you may not first glance look at, but it's going to change the way that e-commerce brands work moving forward, okay? So let's actually go ahead and dive into the different features here. Well, firstly, where does this product data come from? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and actually break this one down by stripping down the current build, and then we're going to showcase what you expect that you'd need to do rebuilding something like this. Okay, so in this case, we've got individual products. Products have tons of different bits of information about them. They have related gear. They have different sizes, different colors, so forth. All of this stuff, right? And then we might not just have shoes. We have different categories of gear, right? So how do you go ahead and manage all of that? You don't want to have to call your development team every single time you want to make a single change. This is not how real companies do it. So in this case, this is where we can use something like Sanity. So I've used Sanity a ton before in the channel, but today we're taking it a step further with Sanity's Context, right? So Sanity Context is an absolute amazing thing, right? That's all I'm going to say. It's an amazing new addition because it's something that I've been after for quite a long time, right? It solves a huge problem. It's essentially an MCP endpoint, which is basically something our agents can connect to, expose tools, and that is basically how our agent can understand our entire data set, right? So it gives us really, really powerful abilities that we're going to dive into in just a moment. But firstly, if you're not aware of Sanity or who they are, they're more than just a CMS platform. Now they do a ton around basically everything that could power what you need for a store like this, right? So let's dive into actually the studio itself. So you're going to be building this as well today. We can actually see all of the products here. So we can dive into all of the products. And again, your actual technical, your non-technical team, sorry, can actually come into this and do all of this on their own, okay? So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you guys. So if you see, this is the actual website, and then over at /studio, we have the following studio, okay? So in this case, we can go through, we can change, details of the entire thing, and all of this is going to go ahead and get replicated in real time. So if I go to the shop all page, and let's go ahead and pick something, for example, the Ember down jacket, okay? Let's go ahead, let me turn the music down so we can lock in. If I wanted to change this content right now, all I have to do is go into the studio and, for example, type in 123, right? I publish that, and honestly, within seconds, that will go ahead and push out, and then provided everything is set up correctly, you can go ahead and get a real-time live update, okay? So there's two ways you can set it up. You can either have the live listener in the mix, or you can have it statically generated, right? So in this case, you can see now, boom, we have it immediately pop into like so, right? So this is the first thing, right? Everyone knows Sanity for this overall main reason, okay? But those guys went ahead and they're starting to dive into the future of things. So let's go ahead and say, for example, you have a chatbot, and this chatbot is what you're going to see in a lot of upcoming websites, especially e-commerce brands, because it's the only thing that logically makes sense, right? So in this case, if we go to a trial guide here, I have to sign in to use this trial guide, right? So we're going to be using Clerk today to handle all of our authentication for that user. So once we've logged in, let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do with the trial guide. And this is where Sanity's Context really comes into play, okay? So as soon as we go into the trial guide now, you can see I can go ahead and I've already got a couple of pre-fillable things. So comfy hiking boots under $200, size 10. What should I pack for a rainy weekend hike? Or what did I order last time, okay? So this is more than just asking questions. This is full context that our agent is gonna need to have, right? But if you think about what that entails to actually set that up in the right way, your agent somehow needs to know about all of these products in a really fast way where it can go ahead and basically search through all of that. You might be fuzzy with it, so you might be searching by semantic meaning. So in this case, I might say, I just want a brown shoe. I've got pretty big feet, size 10, maybe 11. You're being pretty wide with the description. And then we basically want to go ahead and assume that our agent can go ahead and grab that. Okay. Now there's also other constraints, like hard constraints. For example, sizes, right? So in this case, if we go over to, I believe we have, it's inside of inventory. You can see, for example, sizes here. These are hard constraints, right? Now, prices, they're hard constraints. Agents don't understand this the same way that we do. We can't assume that if I told the agent, find everything under $200, it's going to know based on a prompt, right? We can't guess that math is going to go through that way. So how do we handle any of this? And then even then, if I change a product like I just did, it needs to generate something called vector embeddings every single time. How do we make sure that all of that happens? Okay, so it's actually way simpler than you think. And let's firstly go for a fun demo with this, and then I'll dive into how Sanity Context works and makes this entire thing a breeze. Okay, so over here, let's go and type in, for example, comfy hiking boots under $200, size 10. Right now, at this point, we're going to see our agent kick into life, and this is using Sanity Context under the hood. So it's using the MCP server. You can see like it's actually made a Grok query. And you can see these are hard constraints in the mix, okay? So it's searching for a type of product with a category where the slug is hiking boots. The price is under 200. So not only are we searching for specific types of conditions and products, but we're also doing a semantic search where basically we're checking for comfy, comfortable, cushioned hiking boots, okay? Because I wrote comfy, right? So in this case, it's going to go ahead and search for that. And it's combining all of that into a response, okay? So that's the first tool call it did. And then it really nicely presented it to us. So in this case, it says top pick gave us a hiking boot. So I can click onto the hiking boot. I can go ahead and have a look and think about it. This is really going to be the future of e-commerce, because quite honestly, users are getting lazier, right? They want to have an agent that they can speak to, and that agent can help them with all of their shopping, needs that they might ever need, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say, actually, I like that. Let's go ahead and add that to the pack. Cool. So next up, I want to get, for example, a tent. Right, so I want to go ahead on a hiking trip, but it's going to be me and my partner. So let's go ahead and say, to the agent right now, me and my partner are going on a hiking trip. I need a tent. Can you show me options? Right? Can you show me options? Right. So again, normal chat. Right. Now look what happens here, and this is where it gets really, really cool. So at this point, it's going to do another call, and look at this. It's going to go ahead and do a query. It's going to query Sanity. It's going to go ahead and pass in the following. And then it goes, look, for the two of you, the 2 Pines tent is the clear pick. Roomy 2-person space pictures in minutes, and it's rated 4.8. So if I click into that now, we can actually see, oh, that's actually pretty damn good, right? So it's 2-person tent. And just to go ahead and clarify to you guys that it's not the only one there, there's actually 2 different tents. There was a solo tent and there was a 2-person tent. Okay, so in this case, that's pretty handy, right? So that's, now imagine I close that out, I go ahead and order, I check out, and then I go ahead, and this is a dummy payment that we're going to go ahead and place. So I'm going to place my order now, and then we should get our order confirmation. So in this case, boom, we have our order confirmation, and we have a couple of orders currently pending. Okay, this is pretty great. So now I want to find out about my order over here. Okay, so imagine I've actually placed this order, a day ago. I didn't get any kind of update or anything like that. I want to know more information about it. So I'm going to say, can you check the process of my order, and then pass it in like so. Right now, in order for it to answer this question, it needs to know who the user is. It needs to be able to search the orders, and it needs to be able to go ahead and get that information. Right, and as you can see, effortless. Right, I was able to do all of that, and you can see that the order is currently processing, placed August 13th. It includes 1 Wayfair, 45 liter, and it's a total of 179. It hasn't shipped yet, but it's in the queue. Want me to check on the other orders too? So you see how it even found the other orders. Okay, so really, really nice stuff here. Now, let's go ahead and dive into how the hell that worked and what's really cool about that. But even then, imagine we've got thousands of users that are visiting this e-commerce store every single day. How do I know what those chats are going? Like, I want to check in on those chats. I want to have observability over those chats. How do I go ahead and even look into that? Like, where do I begin if I've built an AI chat agent? Okay, so if we go back to the studio, I've set it up in a really nice way. Right? I'm actually tapping into the agent insights. So if we head over to this column over here, you can actually see we get analytics, and this is really, really nice. So what I've actually set up here is it's using Claude Haiku underneath the hood, and it's using Sanity's new context to go ahead and drive what you're seeing here. So we have 9 conversations, 8.4 out of 10 for an average score, and also the sentiment and scores of those contents, of those chats. And as you can see here, it even gives us relevant content gaps. And why is this handy? Because basically then we can actually understand where can we improve that agent, okay? So these are basically, situations where it was able to give a good answer, but it could have done a bit better had we updated our context around this, right? Possibly around the agent, the prompt itself, and so forth, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into, for example, this one, 40-liter backpack availability. Then you can see, I can actually see the chats, okay? So in this case, I've got a filter on, but if I was to clear the filter here, we can actually see a bunch of chats, right? Now, if I was to go back over to that exact chat there, let's have a look at that one. Right, so let's go into that chat, click into it. Now I can dive into things and actually really get an understanding of what went on, right? So in this case, I can see it was analyzed, the time it was the conversation took place, the content gaps, right? So in this case, it was able, let's firstly, we can see a potential gap here, but let's actually look at the conversations. We can see user asked comfy hiking boots under 200, size 10, and then it went ahead and gave back an answer. This is actually the really nice kind of formatting that we saw for the user, but you can now go ahead and see exactly what it's responding, and then go ahead and see, okay, was the user satisfied or not? Right. In this case, they were satisfied. So if we look at the end of the conversation, you know, in this case, I started becoming a developer, right, jumping into it. But imagine they said, "Thank you so much, that's perfect," or "This is useless. I don't want to talk to you. You didn't help me out." At that point, that score will help us understand how can we further improve the agent. And this makes all of the difference, guys, because it's one thing having an agent on your website, and it's another thing having a good, actual, valuable agent that can actually help your customers order more things, which is the goal. Okay, so in this case, we're going to dive through how to do all of this, how to set up sentiment analysis, how to make sure that it automatically regenerates the vector embedding. So what's really, really cool here is if I change anything here, I don't have to, you know, tell a developer to go and regenerate embeddings. I don't have to go in and basically make sure that everything is you know, indexable and searchable. Nothing along those lines. I set one thing inside of Sanity and it goes ahead and handles the rest for me. And this is all powered by Sanity Context, okay? And if we look down here, honestly, I recommend you just to go to this landing page because it really does kind of explain things really, really nicely. This is a prime example, right? Comfy hiking boots under $200. The agent then generates a query. So it understands your schema, which is basically how all of our product information is laid out, everything around all of the things that we store inside of Sanity, combines hard filters as well as semantic ranking, right? As well. So that way you can have semantic meaning combined with the hard filters. And this is so important for things like, is it in stock? Was it under a certain price? And so forth. If you ask AI enough, it will screw this up. Ask it maths. Any maths question and you'll see the same thing happen over and over again. Doesn't matter what model you use, it will slip somewhere. And if that happens inside of a store, you will end up in a bit of a situation, especially if something went through that it shouldn't have gone through, okay? So Sanity returns price results and it's pretty damn good, right? As you guys saw. And setting it up is my favorite part. And you'll notice that a lot of companies are doing this now, including our friends over at Clerk. So everything is agent driven. This doesn't mean that you're a bad developer, guys. This doesn't mean you're lazy. This just is the way that the future is going with this stuff, right? So actually setting it up literally takes around 5 minutes. It's honestly so simple. All you do is you install a skill, you run this prompt right here, and it will go ahead and help you set up your agent. Okay, so we're going to go through all of this live. Recommend checking this one out as well. He done an awesome video, John did. And you guys, you can go ahead and check out all of the rest on this on the screen right afterwards. But the main thing that I want to go ahead and showcase is the usability of it. Because this is actually the sentiment analysis here before we carry on. But the usability of it is just so, the main thing is that once you've set this up, it shouldn't be a complicated thing to go ahead and use on a day-to-day basis. Your product team should be able to come in here and this should be authenticated and it should be always accessible. And then you should be able to go ahead and update things as you wish. You shouldn't have to worry about the technical things. It should just work, right? If everything's kind of abstracted away and you have no idea what the hell's going on, that's a serious problem, especially if you've got tons and tons of products being sold inside of an e-commerce store. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive through everything. Now, I've given you all of the code for this inside of the GitHub repo. The link to it is down below in the description. All you need to go ahead and do is hit that like button and check out the description, and you guys will be able to go ahead and see it. I just want to check, is the stream good, guys? I feel like it is good, but I just want to check. Okay, all good. I've got a weird message on my screen. I'm not really sure that that's they're all good or not. But basically, here we have the entire code base. So feel free to go ahead and grab it. Jay also just dropped it inside of the chat. And what I've done here is I've really gone ahead and actually extensively built out this README this time. So we've got pictures of everything. And the main thing is actually the explanation of the AI features that I just spoke about. Interesting, Jay. I think mine is being extra weird. Okay, you know, I'm going to... No, we're good. Okay, we're good. All right. So if you scroll down, you can actually see the entire Sanity context that I spoke about, explained absolute beginner, friendly. Okay. So the main thing is as well, like I mentioned before, if you were to go ahead and have a separate database, let's go ahead and picture the scene. And you know what? The way that I like to do these live streams now is slightly different from the past. What we want to do now is a lot more of a teaching moment. Okay. So what I'm going to effectively say is if we go over to our coding agent, and let's go ahead and actually list it out as if it was a client's job, right? So in this case, if we were to go ahead and get a proposal for a client, they want us to build, for example, a tennis shop. How the hell do we do that? Okay. So in this case, let's go ahead and say, let's build a tennis shop, and let's just start listing out what effectively it will need. Okay. So in this case, if I was to go and say this tennis shop needs things like a product CMS, right? It needs to basically have, authentication for our users. Okay. It needs to go ahead and have, vector embeddings for an AI agent to use. Okay. And then on top of that, you need to consider things like the search, right? How does a user or agent search for things, right? Search for things. There's lots of things to figure out, okay? And if we were to dive into just that on the surface, right? Not even to mention, you have to build an app and deploy it and all that stuff. But if we were just to dive into this for a second, let's actually, look at what entails it. Now, a CMS, typically you can build this custom if you really wanted, but again, then you'd have to manage your user permissions, all of that stuff. It becomes way more work than you can imagine, okay? So this is where obviously I've used Sanity in the past, and I continue to use them whenever I need a CMS. So in this case, we can use something like Sanity instead, right? So Sanity. And actually, let me show you the negative case first, right? So if we were to build this, for example, custom, this would be one app, right? So custom app number one, right, would be for your product CMS, okay? Then you would have to make sure that every time you basically went ahead and updated data for this, you have to regenerate your vector embeddings. And these could live somewhere else, right? So these could live in somewhere like Pinecone or some other vector embedding place. And if you're not sure what a vector embedding is, think of it like coordinates, okay? So imagine we take a product. For us, a product, like for example, if we took a JSON object, we can understand what that is, right? We know what that is. We're humans, we're smart, we can understand that. An agent, they're not stupid, they can understand what that is, but they are better at basically understanding something called a embedding, a vector embedding. And the easiest way to picture this is you turn a product information or any entity into a bunch of coordinates. Right? And once you've done that with enough data items, for example, tons of different products, you can actually group those similarity. You can group them on basically in something called a similarity search. And then you can tell which products are similar based on specific things that were included when you created the vector embedding. For example, brown shoes, like different kind of criteria that would have been included inside of when you actually generate the vector embedding from the product. Okay, so we have to store those somewhere. So in this case, those could be stored somewhere else, for example, like Pinecone. Then you would have authentication systems in place. This could be a whole nother system, right? So in this case, you might go ahead and set up your authentication system. And now, again, how do you make sure that your agents basically can understand your authentication system? There's a lot of things that can go wrong here, okay? So why are we going to stress about doing all of this when no one's going to basically clap for you doing that well? So instead now, we're going to simplify the entire process, okay? The app is going to use next.js, okay? So fairly straightforward. The app is going to be building it with this. Then, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, there we go. Let's get the full screen. The app is going to use next.js. Then for the agent side of things, we're going to be using Sanity. And in particular, we're going to be using Sanity Context, right? So Sanity is going to do a couple of rows here, okay? We have Sanity Context. I don't know why I put a line there. Too much in dev land. We've got Sanity Context for the AI stuff. Okay, so effectively, this is going to turn all of our product knowledge into AI accessible information. And then Sanity Context, the MCP server, is going to give our agent access to all of our schema and understanding, so that way it can actually access it, retrieve things and handle all of the embeddings and everything else. So that way we eliminate that vector embedding problem. Now the embeddings sit right next to our data, which is perfect, right? And it's all in the same place that our product team can go ahead and update things from. Okay, then we're also going to be storing everything, data related inside of Sanity, for example. Like also, let's just go ahead and say store everything data related. So this is going to be another element. So we've got the Sanity context for the AI side. We've got all of the data, including all of the product information. So imagine all of the product information. It could be all the categories, everything that you can imagine. But it goes a step further even, right? One thing I didn't actually show you is if we dive back into this and we go over to the AI agent tab, you can actually see here, look at this, right? So typically, if you have an AI agent, If you want to change something like a system prompt, what you will have to do is you'll have to go ahead and update the system prompt, and then you have to redeploy the agent. Okay, so that's a step in itself, usually involves a developer. And that might not be ideal if, for example, you have a huge amount of customers on the website and they're immediately getting problems and the agent isn't serving them the correct way, right? That can be a big problem and you need to deal with it right now. As you can see here, however, once you've set things up, Sanity Context gives you an MCP URL that basically our agent taps into. Then it can get all of the access to all of, everything that you see on the screen here, including specific content filters and Grok queries, right? So Grok queries are effectively the querying language that Sanity likes to use, which I think is pretty awesome. And again, your agent understands Grok really well, so it's pretty easy to use, okay? And then you've got your system prompt effectively down here, okay? So this is basically where anyone from my team now, without any understanding of the agent, understanding of how it works or whatnot, they can come in here, provided they have access to our dashboard, and they can go ahead and basically update this and publish it. So imagine if it was like price is now in GBP. Okay, we can go ahead and publish that. And now our agent will start replying in GBP terms. Okay, you don't have to redeploy anything. As soon as you publish, the agent, the next time it pulls that request down or, the MCP information down, it will have the relevant context and it's good to go. Right. And this is often the problem with a lot of agents. They lack the context they need to do meaningful things. Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to go ahead and cover all of that. Now, I can see a chat here. We got Bob because Sunny also noticed codex usage going insanely fast lately. We'll dive through usage things as we build things out today, but you can rest assured that I'm going to show you guys my usage from this beginning to the end, and I'll show some tricks that I like to kind of use to keep things intact. The rest of this is basically storing things like our agent configuration. So if we dive into this, we got the trail guide agent. Right, so in this case, you can see this is the system prompt here, right? And then we've got the conversations themselves, and these are all of the individual conversations, right? So this is basically the data view of it. But if you really want to get like a nice view, you can do it from the Agent Insights tab. And I'll show you how we can set all of this up shortly, okay? Now, of course, I did mention that we have authentication inside of today's app. So that sign in that we showed earlier, that is actually, I've actually already signed in, I believe. I just didn't refresh. That sign in, these elements right here, the ability to manage account, all of this is through Clerk. Right? So Clerk, I've talked about them a ton on this channel. If you don't know who they are, they're an incredible company that basically aced authentication in the development space, right? So now they're agent first as well, which is why they're going to be such a cool demo to pair with Sanity here, because we're going to get the agent to actually build the entire flow here. They handle all of our authentication methods, everything that we can need, including B2B side of things, which I've done in tons of builds before, integrate with all of the tools that you love. And my favorite thing that is possibly came out of a software company lately is the CLI. The Clerk CLI has been a godsend. From this single CLI now, we can do it from the CLI, but better yet, our agent can go ahead and set the entire thing up for us. So we're going to show you how to do all of this from end to end, and it's going to be a lot of fun, okay? And they can also do things like, organizations, even the deploy step. It's awesome, okay? Even the MCP installation, everything is handled for us, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into the build, and then I can go ahead and show you how we're going to go ahead and cover all of this, right? So the first step that I want you to do is we need accounts on both Sanity and also on Clerk. So if you go ahead and use the link in the description, you will land over at the following page right here, okay? Now, this page right here, if you do use it, it's actually the one... use the link in the description, or it's in the GitHub README. It will actually be a huge thank you from my side, because you'll get a bonus, you'll get a double trial, as well as telling Sanity that you came from this video. So it helps us out a ton as well. So I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and create a free account. I've already created an account, but I'm in a different profile here. So we're going to go ahead and click into this one. Now, I've got so many profiles, I kind of lose track of what's going on here. But you want to create your first Sanity project here. Okay. Now, once we've done this, you can go ahead and actually create it here, or even once you've created the account in the first place, that's okay, right? I'll be honest, at this point, I want you to actually go ahead. You can create the account, but I'm going to show you how to do everything through the CLI, which I think is a more fun way of doing this. And that's the way I typically work. So I want to show you how to do it that way instead. Okay. And then the second link that I need you to go ahead and hit is the link down below for Clerk, right? So you want to go ahead and set up a Clerk account. I already, of course, have a Clerk account. So in this case, if I go to sign in, we can go ahead and see my account over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in. And again, I always forget which account this is in. I've got two accounts that I primarily use for when I'm doing lives. Now we can go ahead and see, verify, let's go ahead and go through. And in just a second, we should see our project, including Trailhead, which is the demo build for this one. Okay, so here we have it, Trailhead. So if I click into that, you guys can see I've got a bunch of example stuff here. But if we go into the configure section, you can see I've actually, not configure, if we go into the users, you can see basically I've got my users. This is exactly what I was using inside the demo. Okay, now in actually setting all of this up, you can again do it all through your agent. So once you've created your account, it will likely pop up with a create application screen, but you can actually pause at that point because I want to show you a nicer way that you can go ahead and do it. Okay, so again, I'm trying to show you guys the way that I work. So instead you actually get some, the way that I actually do things. I think it's going to be more useful for you to know that instead of me showing you a kind of clear, I want to show you a clear way that is listed, right? So in this case, the first thing I want you to do is install the CLIs. The CLIs are command line interfaces. They allow us to actually access our account and all of the features on that, service for like Clerk or Sanity, all through a terminal, right? So the first one that you want to install is this, right? I've already installed this command, so I'm going to go, but if you do want to do it, I'll show you how to do it. You can open up any terminal, whether it's a normal terminal, or whether it's Warp. So in this case, I like to use Warp lately. So I've actually already done this one. So if I type in Clerk, I'm going to simply check for an update here. So in this case, I'm already on the latest. So make sure at the time of this video anyway, the latest is 3.1.0, but they update very, very quick. Welcome to the stream, Sonacode. Good to see you here as well. And also Vibe Salmon says, awesome setup. Store the conversation history for the customer is a good idea to improve AI in the future. Also tracking issues. Yeah, exactly. You can actually go in, look at conversations that are happening. If any kind of misinformation was given or for whatever the case, at least you have observability over that and you can go ahead and fix that, right? The next one that we want to go ahead and do, if you simply type in Sanity CLI, okay? So you want to go to Sanity CLI on Google and you simply just want to go ahead and install the CLI. So over here, if we go to, you can actually do this one in an easier step, in fact, rather than even installing this off the bat. What you can actually do is if you go over to the Sanity Context landing page and you click on read the docs here, they actually have a really nice skill, this one here, right? So you always want to look for skills. They make your life a lot easier. They effectively teach our agent how to do the things we're trying to do, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually, you can do this two ways. You can either do, for example, Command J, open up a terminal. I'm now in cursor, right? We can either go ahead and basically pop it in like so. So I could go ahead and do something like this and actually install it myself, or you could get your agent to do it, right? You can do both options, right? In this case, I'll show you the terminal approach. So that way, in case you want to do that, you can do it this way. And then I'll show you also ways that you could do it here afterwards, maybe for Clerk, okay? So MPX skills add Sanity, and this is going to use the skills installer, which you should have seen if you're exposed to the AI world at one point. You're going to get the skills installer. Now, in this case, it's going to go ahead and install all three. I've actually already done it. That's why it kind of jumped through. But it actually installed three very important skills for us. Okay, it installed create agent with Sanity Context. It installed the dial your context skill, and it also installed the shape your agent skill. Right, so three skills, and it went ahead and installed them to all of our agents. Right, if you're doing that for the first time, typically you would have to go ahead and just maybe put a space bar and use the arrows and the key to basically go ahead and do that. Okay, Roni says always a very wonderful experience joining Sunny on the live build. Sunny, you're the best dev in the community. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Honestly, it means the world to hear things like that. Right. So in this case, we've already installed it. Right. So that's now done. We can close that. And another thing that you could actually do is if you go to customize, and sometimes it's called marketplace, depending on where you're doing things, right? If you type in, for example, Sanity here, you can see there actually is always tends to be a Sanity kind of, plugin, or in this case, I didn't add this one. So let's go ahead and actually add this to cursor. I'm going to add it to, typically I would always say you should add it to the project, but in this case, I'm going to add it for myself. Actually, no, we're going to add it to the project today. Yeah, we'll do it, right? And then that way, it's going to be available for all agents who use it. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and install this. And you can see this actually installs a couple of skills, right? It installs a couple of commands as well, right? And again, this is just good overall sort of assistance for our agent. Even if it's not directly related to Sanity Context, again, we need to know how to use Sanity Studio, best practices like Grok queries and so forth. So I always recommend you do that, okay? The same thing goes for Clerk. So I recommend you install this plugin. It's an awesome plugin. You can go ahead and do that. And same for Vercel, right? Really, really good stuff. Anything you're working with, it's going to help to install that. Okay, so we've got our Sanity skills installed. There is also one for Clerk, right? Now, I don't know if we actually need to do that one off the bat, but what I will say is I'll show you how I would now do it. So let's build a tennis shop, right? So we're effectively going to mask this demo, the same sort of approach here, right? We're going to build a similar thing to this, okay? So we're going to be, let's build a tennis shop. And now I'm going to modify the requirements. And this is exactly, imagine like we got a request from a client. And typically we've actually done this for clients before where they come to us, they want an agent inside of the app. And one of the first things that we often do is we shift their data to something like Sanity in the first place, because they were currently they built out an entire custom, inventory second app that was insecure and a bunch of stuff going wrong with that. So we would shift them over to Sanity, so that way anyone could easily go in, update things. It could be real time, all of that stuff live by default. And then, of course, we would then integrate the AI agent side of things. Okay, so and trust me, they've made that part very easy. So we're going to say next.js 16. So I'm now going to start giving it the tech stack. So we're going to say next.js 16. Let's just say Sanity for the CMS layer. And also I want Sanity Context for an AI agent to help customers shop. Okay. And then I always prefer to say the following. It doesn't matter if you've installed skills. I will always do this because context just always helps your agent more. Okay. Now we can use the prompt that they've given here, but I always give this as well, right? I always say I've installed the following skill, because yes, it will pick it up, but I just still like to do this. Okay. And in brackets, I'm even going to go ahead and put their prompt in. So in this case, this one here, and we're going to pop that in. Okay. So that's going to help our agent out. So we've already got Next.js 16, Sanity for the CMS layer, and I also want the Sanity Context for an AI agent to help customers shop. Okay. And then we've got authentication. We're going to say clerk authentication for the users, and we're going to say use the clerk CLI to handle this. Okay. And even here, I'm going to say use the Sanity CLI to handle things if needed. Okay. Then we need the vector embeddings. We're going to get rid of that now because Sanity handles that with the Sanity context layer, right? How does the user or agent search for things? Again, we can get rid of it. So literally we have three elements: Next.js 16, Sanity, and Clerk. Okay. Now you can go ahead and use things like Shadcyan and all that stuff. Do as you may. Again, the code is there for you guys to go ahead and copy. But in this case, we're pretty good with just that, right? So the next step I want to do is enter plan mode. So I'm going to press Shift Tab and I'm going to go into plan mode. And now we need to select our model. It's really up to you guys. I don't mind using any model here. Oh, wow. We got Balance MG. What's up? Good to see you, dude. I still use the razor he gave me, right? He gave me a nice little cut through. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. All right. So one of my favorite models lately is GPT 5.6 Soul. However, I am intrigued. Maybe we use Cursor's new Grok 4.6 today. It's also 50% off. So it's actually kind of got frontier level, performance on a lot of the tests. So maybe we use that today, right? Let's maybe give that a try. I don't know how good this is going to be. Or maybe we do it afterwards with a few other changes. Okay, you know what? I'm going to keep it a little bit safe and then we're going to start changing things afterwards, right? But I'm going to set my reasoning to max because, I like that. And we can do fast if we need to, but at this point, I'm pretty good with this. We're going to kick off plan mode. And they also have a few other modes. Yeah, they have like a multitask mode and a few other extra things. But in this case, let's just kick off plan mode for the first layer. Okay. Now, the first instance is we can hop over here and let's go ahead and see. So once that prompt kicks off, if we just did that prompt by itself, we can see here the skill generates the schema, code, and configuration you need. And what this will effectively do is it will go ahead and set up a Sanity Studio for us, which is that CMS layer effectively where we can go in. It's really more than a CMS layer. I think the best way I can show you that is because I really don't want to get you guys confused here. If we go over to Sanity, they're more like a content operations platform. They're way more than a CMS layer now, to be honest with you. They power the entire content side, so you can basically shift over all your content responsibilities to that side. And then even the AI workflows that you're going to include, such as AI agents that are talking and so forth. And if you're wondering, do I trust these guys? Well, do you trust these companies? If you do, then yeah, they're pretty damn good and they work with some huge people. So go for it and use it, right? So if you want to go ahead and know exactly what they do, check out the landing page. They're pretty awesome. Like someone has done a great job of explaining that here, probably better than I ever could. Okay, including some pretty cool automations that are going on now. Right, but the really cool thing is we really don't have to do much anymore to understand it all, right? So you can see here, because our agent can actually do it. So how far should the first version go beyond the Sanity catalog and AI shopping assistant? Catalog, filters, product pages, local cart, clerk accounts, and AI advisor. So I actually want to do option A. I do like that. Let's go with that one. And I'm going to say, actually, let's just say option A, but let's have a dummy payment checkout. Okay, because I've done checkout payments in tons of apps. I've got dedicated videos out there. If you want to do the payment side, literally I've got a million videos you can go ahead and check. But today I'm more focused on the AI element of actually helping it out. Son of Code asked, what harness are we using today? Today we're using Cursor. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it with that, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Option A, but let's have a dummy payment checkout. And as you can see here, one thing I really like about Cursor versus the other harnesses is actually the way it explores. So if you click into this, right, you can actually see that it doesn't, one thing I hate with Claude Code, right, I'm sorry, I will say it over and over again, is it spawns up Fable 5 agents. If I'm on Fable 5, it'll spawn up Fable 5 agents in a workflow if I'm using Ultra, and it will burn through tokens like madness, right? That's very frustrating unless you explicitly tell it every time. And yes, I've updated Claude MD files, but it has a bad habit of doing that. Whereas Cursor actually has a very good habit of spawning sub-agents in a cheaper model, a faster, cheaper model, okay? So which model connection should we power the Sanity Context shopping agent? So you could do either a Vercel AI Gateway with the Anthropic model. Let's do the Vercel AI Gateway. It's very, very good, right? Previously I did the Anthropic API key directly. You could also use Vercel Eve, but in this case, we're going to use Vercel AI Gateway, right? So let's go ahead and do continue. And again, you can see 3 agents actually went ahead and explored everything. They inspected Sanity setup, inspected clerk and commerce, and then mapped the project structure. Which art direction should the tennis storefront use? Premium court club, grass green, warm cream, editorial. Yeah, I think let's go with that. That sounds actually pretty good. Continue. Okay, and again, I actually got an interesting comment yesterday. That's sick. You got balance goes, oh sick. This is why you're the sharpest dev we have. Trim is always on point. Appreciate it, dude. Absolute G. Thank you so much. So one thing I want to mention is I got an interesting comment at the beginning of the stream, actually, before I went live, and it was more along the lines of, we want to see some old school coding in place. Like we want to see you do your old stuff that you used to do. And trust me, guys, like I did enjoy that era of coding, but I can promise you now, there is just no need to write manually the same way we used to do it a year ago. And if you are, I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to get left behind. Like that's just the truth. Now there's a new way of working, which allows us to carry over the intelligence that we had. Nothing changes there, but now it's just way smarter, right? So now, for example, the goal is really how to engineer with AI agents in place, give them the relevant context, which means, you know, the skills, the plugins, the MCPs, which provide the access to external tools like Sanity Context, and then use that to develop solutions, which is like the website itself, as well as custom AI agents, such as the helper on the site. All right. So all of these things is what you should be focusing on, especially solving the problem of context, right? Context engineering is a very, very big thing, and it's just widely misunderstood. And effectively, it means that your agent just doesn't know enough to give an actual useful answer to you, right? So that's what we're effectively solving today, okay? The repo is empty and not linked to Clerk. Should implementation create fresh service projects or connect existing ones? We're going to create new Clerk and Sanity projects for this shop. That's perfect. And a quick water break as well. Balance MG, if you need anything else, let me know. I'm going to let you do your thing. Guys, go ahead and check out Balance MG. Amazing guy over on Instagram. He's absolutely a legend. He's in the live chat right now. You can ask him a question if you want. But it's my go-to for the hair stuff. Because I always get questions, you know, Sonny, you're looking fresh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's the guy that does my lineups with the tools. Okay. So now at this point, let's go ahead and have a look at, I want to show you actually in real time as it's doing something here. So, actually, let's look at the guide in the meantime, right? So as this is doing it, and we should hear the noise when it's finished, right? What that will do is it will go ahead and set up a Sanity project, Sanity Studio. It will deploy a schema for us. We can actually get the CLI to get the read-only token. It will set up a model and an API key, and then we can go ahead and actually mix in the front-end component, okay? So that's actually our app. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, like there's two things to it, right? So if we look into this, Sanity Context document defines what our agent can see in your data set and how it should behave. You can manage those documents in Studio using the Sanity Context plugin. Okay. So again, what I would even recommend is even when we come to debugging, I always have a habit of either copying the article, you can open it as well, but I always just literally simple enough. I copy the URL and I will throw it to the agent if it gets stuck. Right? I've always found that this honestly works wonders, works really great, and it can pretty much overcome anything that I've run into. So these are things that I would definitely recommend. But you can see these are examples of Grok filters as well. And then we get the actual MCP endpoint once we publish that Sanity Context document, okay? But again, setting all of this up, I'll be lying if I said to you, I did it this way. I didn't. I gave it to the agent and the agent did it, right? That's how easy this is to go ahead and get up and running, right? Once we actually connect that MCP, what it will do is it will effectively expose our schema, and the tools to our agent. And it does that by giving these first four tools, right? Firstly, the initial context. Schema Explorer allows it to go ahead and investigate our Sanity Studio, our Dataset, all of that stuff. Grok Query, of course, allows it to fetch results against our Dataset. And then Array Fill Re-Adder, which is reasonable. This one, I haven't used it, right? Maybe our agent uses it, but I'm sure it's good, right? So if we go over to Sanity Context right now while it's happening, I'm going to show you an example because they have quite a nice little thing going on over here, right? There was a demo I wanted to show you. So yeah, again, we've done this. We installed our skill. Then it can go ahead and, we've done that already. 3 skills installed. The second step is to run the prompt. We're doing that in the mix of the actual entire setup, right? And then it can go ahead and help us get a working agent. So it does all of these steps for us inside of the agent chat, okay? And then you can go ahead and get exactly the following output, right? So pretty simple. That's literally it, right? And it'll do all of that hard work for us, right? So in this case, we've got the plan. So this is what I would recommend here. So, always start in plan mode. You'll get a better output every single time. We've got a question from the Leonel Street. What's up? He goes, hi, Sunny, greetings from Argentina. What's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. You're number one. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for your live streams. The way you start with so much energy, how easy you explain things. Thank you so much, genius. Dude, I absolutely love you, man, and appreciate you. Jay, screenshot that, please. But the positivity is wild. I appreciate you so much. And this is what I mean, guys. Our community is full of this, right? So if you want to be a part of that kind of energy right there, including the Leonel Street, I really want you to be a part of this as well. We're actually opening the doors very shortly to our new community. The link is in the description. Please go ahead and join it, guys. I really want to see more people like that inside the community. Zero to AI Hero is launching very, very shortly, okay? So this is going to be where I dive into everything AI related at the level that I can without the time constraint of YouTube, okay? So I'll be literally on a coaching call with you guys every week, talking away, answering questions, diving into things at the most depth, right? Honestly, the coaching calls used to go for hours. It's an awesome place to be, right? So go ahead and join. And then when we open the doors, you'll be one of the first to enter, okay? So here's our architecture. You can go ahead and review it, but let's look at mainly the most important parts. Initialize an NPM-based project. Again, you can switch PM, PM, NPM. I'm going to keep it on NPM today because I feel like a lot of people they kind of get hiccuped, or they kind of get hit a hurdle. I don't know what I was saying there. They hit a hurdle when they tried to switch PM sometimes. So let's just keep it easy for everyone today because the demo, I did it in NPM as well. It's going to go ahead and create a clerk application, create a Sanity one, and then link those, build the sanity-cms and tennis content model. So it's going to go ahead and set this up. It's going to mount an embedded studio for us, which is again at our website /studio. Okay, it does all of that for us. And then it's going to go ahead and set up all of our categories: product, brand, category, collection, buying guide, policy, site settings, and so forth, right? And the agent config, right? Then we've got the premium Court Club storefront. So established, right? That's going to be the looks and everything. Clerk-auth, our cart, and our simulated checkout. And then we've got the Sanity Context shopping agent, okay? Now, I just want to check as well. We should be storing the orders, I believe, inside of Sanity as well. We can go ahead and double check that one as well afterwards. But build the Sanity Context shopping agent. This is the most important part, right? Because that's pretty much what we're doing this for. And then adding insights and tuning the agents. And this is going to be, we can do this 2 ways actually. Once we've got it all set up, we can use those skills that we installed earlier to basically go ahead and improve the prompt from Sanity's skill set, right? And then verify and block. Let's just carry on with that, right? So build. And what we can do is we can actually parallel do this, but I'm not going to actually mess with that today. I'll touch on that later. Let's go ahead and build it right now. Now, before we jump into this, command, comma, I'm going to go over to plan and usage. Right now, guys, we are at 1% usage, okay? So 1%, I kept this account fresh for you guys today. 1% usage. And I want you to pay attention to this, okay? Other models includes like GPT, Claude Code, and all that stuff. And then Cursor models includes Cursor Grok and Composer, which is actually getting wild now because Cursor Grok and Composer are actually powerful models. Composer is really quick. Cursor Grok is like frontier level performance for way cheaper. I think it's like 2 in, 6 or 8 out versus like 50 out for Fable, which is nuts at the moment. When I say 50 out, I mean $50 per million output tokens, okay? So let's close that plan, and then let's go ahead and pull this over to the side. And then we can let our agent do its thing. So now it's going to go ahead and start setting things up. Look, checking the current packages, checking the clerk packages. And I just feel overall as well sometimes that Cursor has a very good way of running parallel agents, right? The second best option that I currently use is Codex, in case you're curious. I did used to find that Claude took the lead, but I feel like they're sleeping lately, and I feel like everyone else is catching up. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'm always eager to know what the community thinks about these kind of things as well, right? So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit and let this do its thing. So coming back over here, I want to go ahead and pretty much showcase the steps ourselves. So as it's doing this, I want to show you what we would essentially do manually, so that way you get both insights, right? If we go over to, let's go to our documents, read the documents. And then again, so we've done all this. So this will be effectively happening on its own. The tools, searching text. Again, by the way, I forgot to mention, through the content link, which is Sanity's way of handling all the data, it supports fuzzy text, right? So through something called BM25, semantic search through the dataset embeddings, and those embeddings are automatically generated for us. And then we've got the hybrid combination of both with something called selectable boosting, okay? So again, we're gonna enable all of this, and this is something that we actually have to do, right? So you don't, out of the box, get vector embeddings next to our Sanity data. There is a command, a CLI command that we actually have to run. It's, if you see here, if we click on dataset embeddings, it's very, very simple, right? You can go ahead and actually do it with a single command, like create the embeddings enabled dataset. So we're gonna actually get our agent to handle all of this as well, okay? And you can see that what is embeddings? An embedding is a numerical representation of text, right? That captures meaning rather than just characters, right? So if you are wondering all of these things, you can pause the video right now, give this a read. But effectively, it's what I said, right? It takes a product, for example, and kind of pushes it into like, or kind of transforms it into an array of a coordinate of numbers, right? And that is basically much more searchable to AI than the way that we look at text. Okay, so you can do a much better job at searching that quicker, right? And also drawing similarities across huge data sets. This is also how Netflix figures out what you want to watch next, for example. Okay, they use vector embeddings. So in this point, a few key points that we can do this one. We've already enabled, this is how you would enable it, existing data sets as well. Okay, so we don't have to dive into that more. Let's go back over. And this is the boring stuff. This is where it's going to go ahead and install all of the dependencies. And one thing I would just do on the side here is I've actually always got a habit of opening up the IDE. So you see this top IDE button over here. Even if I'm using a different coding harness like Codex or whatever the case, I always have it open in the side, right? Because I always want to know, would you like to add Git? Yes, we do definitely want that. Git, yes. We always want to actually know what the agent is doing, right? So you don't want to basically just trust that it's doing everything perfect straight off the bat. That's naive. We don't do that, okay? So in this case, I can see the entire code base here. And also you should be committing at regular intervals, right? So these are a couple of things which I'm going to go over points of them, but I'm not going to make that the focal point of today's video, right? So we've got the agent with the skills. This is effectively a folder, or actually it's going to be here. Yeah, this is the one that basically every agent, regardless of your coding harness, whether it's Codex, Claude Code, Anti-Gravity, they will check the .agents file for skills that have been installed inside of there, right? Claude has its own, so that's why we end up installing in Claude as well. But typically .agents is the one that is basically shareable against all the, like if you push this to a repo, any agent that picks it up can also read those skills. That's why I always recommend pushing the kind of team-wide skills to, what's it called, to your repo. Okay, so let's go into package.json, and I want to make sure a couple of things are right here. So we can see down below, I want to make sure that the actual packages are the latest ones. So clerk next.js is the latest, because AI sometimes has a reason of slipping up on this. 19.2.8 as well as next 16.3.1. Yep. And then sanity, let's make sure that's right. So 6.92. And then clerk, it hasn't installed. Yeah, it has done it. So 7.7.5. Yep, there we go. All right. So I just hover over it and it pretty much tells us. Okay. Then it's going to set everything else for us up. Right. And this is, again, you can do it a couple of ways. Right now it's chosen to do it. It's literally itself manually. You could probably make life easier here and just use create next app instead of letting your agent burn through this many tokens. It's up to you how you want to do it. But I'm actually going to add in here, say commit regular meaningful intervals. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave that in the queue. Okay. So it's going to set a couple of things up because I always find it goes a bit overkill here with, if you did this with, create next app, it would just set the thing up in the base default, but it's really up to you. But in this case, it's setting up Vitest for for testing and everything else as well. So I guess it's more in depth. Really, it depends on how you want to do it. And if we click up here, we can see the breakdown of the to-dos as well. Okay. Now, what I might do for the sake of, getting this build done in a nice amount of time, I might actually enable it in fast mode. Do you guys want to see that? It's two times more expensive. Do we go ahead and do that? But it's faster speeds. We like faster speeds. So maybe we can go ahead and enable that. Let's go ahead and try it for like 5 minutes. We'll see how much it burns through. Okay. So at this point, we're at 2% usage. So let's see how quickly we burn through that. Okay. And then we've got our environment file. And in this case, if we look into this, and another reason why I kind of have the IDE open as well is I hate the agent viewer in these new IDE agent first views. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I hate it. I don't think it looks good. I don't think anyone's nailed that yet. So I like to view code in cursor the way that we used to do it. And I think that's a lot better in terms of working. Okay. Now we've got the source, and this is where our app is going to start getting set up. So we've got our layout file and so forth, court club tennis, modern equipment and considered guidance for every court. Here we've got pretty arrow. What's going on there? Let's have a look. It's interesting. Let me just restart my pretty and also our TypeScript server. So I've got loads of things kind of running lately on different servers and all sorts of stuff. So sometimes I have weird errors that come up. Prettier. Okay, I think it's because it hasn't got the base prettier set up. It's also set up Playwright as well. Okay. The thing I do notice is, again, I'm going to just go ahead and spit my understanding of the AI models lately as we build this out, because I think that can be helpful for you guys. GPT is so heavy on testing. I like it. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it tends to go so aggressive on testing. Like it'll add tests for everything, which I think is great. But at the same time, if you didn't want them, it can also burn through tokens. Right? Passion Brain says, hello, Sunny. We really appreciate the immense effort you bring into the AI space. Thank you for pushing the boundaries and constantly enriching our community with your insights. Work done. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you so much. That is what the Papa Fam energy is all about. You're absolutely welcome. All I ask is you guys hit the like button. That is literally it. Hit that like button, and thank you so much. All right. So quick little water break as well. Initialize clerk integration in the next.js project. So you can see inside of here. I typically don't like doing a source folder at the top, by the way. Just in case you're wondering how I work, typically don't do that, but this is going to be the home page for the sign in and the sign up page. And these are the base clerk redirects, right? If you're wondering, if you go to environment.example, you can actually see typically in a moment, you can actually change these URLs if you want to, right? Typically the quick start does that for you, but for now it's okay. Now it's going to start investigating. It's starting to set up Sanity side of things, I believe. So it's provisioning Sanity's accounts. Let's have a look. So it's actually gone into my Sanity. You can see how it's already authenticated. And if you haven't authenticated with your Sanity CLI, at this point, it would ask you to go ahead and it will probably install the Sanity CLI for you and then ask you to go ahead and log in, right? Organization requirement, create a project unintended mode, pass it in with organization. So no, we can actually create it. So let's go ahead and go into this one, the dashboard. And look, it's trying to create a Sanity project. So NPX Sanity in it. It's creating an organization called Court Club Tennis for us. Okay. So at this point, I should see our, go to recent studios and apps. We should have Court in a second. So maybe it's not on this account. Am I on the right account? I've got so many accounts. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm in the wrong account. So let's have a look. So package installation failed. So it didn't install correctly. Let's have a look what's going on. Expect after Sanity initialization attempt. And I do find there is a difference between working with, for example, if I was in ChatGPT. So let me see how I can maybe show you guys. So if I have my codex open in the meantime, I'll show you my setup typically with this. So if I go into plugins, I typically do have the Sanity one. So this is new actually, I believe in Codex. So my Codex actually works great even without this, but I would install this plugin as well. And then of course, if you haven't authenticated, typically at that point, it will always ask you to authenticate yourself. So let's log into that account. A little bit of side knowledge right now while that's happening. And you can see here, it will connect me to Sanity's MCP server. Again, don't get confused with the Sanity Context MCP, which is for our agent. Okay. So Yep, open ChatGPT, connect Sanity. Let's finish the connection. And again, I recommend you do this, right? Every single time you work with, regardless of what harness you are in, you go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've now done that one. Clerk has one as well. Oops. Yep, I've already installed that one. And then Vercel again. Yep. So we already have those as well, right? But I have noticed that when I tend to build things inside of here, it tends to be amazing with, organizing sub-agents and so forth, right? So I do feel like I kind of wanted to mix it up a bit today with doing it with Cursor. I hope I did the right thing, okay? So connect with plugin Sanity enables the agent to use custom tools and third-party integrations. Yep, let's do it. Authenticate. So let's go ahead and give this access. So we're going to click on authorize and then authorization complete. That's it. Now it's got access and now it can start using those tools. Okay, so it authenticated, now it's exploring its available tools. And typically, I believe they've changed it in Cursor now, but let's have a look. So no plan, multitask mode, no. Okay. I was just wondering if they had, typically the way I work with, even changing the context to 1,000,000 is better here for me. I prefer that. When I work with Codex, I tend to basically give it full access. This is what I was looking for, okay? In Cursor, however, it's pretty much not going to do that. So a lot of the time when you're working with Cursor, I feel like it's more sit down and be in front of the computer. Yes, they have a lot of features which actually you can do it remotely, but a lot of the new harnesses or the popular harnesses like Codex and Cloud Code, I typically work a lot of the time away from the desk, right? So I typically kickstart it off here, but then I go into another task and then I come in and I check on my chats. So if I go ahead and go over here and I go to remote, go to connections, remote, and as you can see, I've got my iPad and my iOS, my phone on basically with access, right? And I just want to check as well so it doesn't show anything else. But yeah, you want to go ahead and actually set these up. It's really, really quite cool, right? And basically that means that if I open up the ChatGPT app on my phone, I can actually tap into my chats here. And it's a really nice way of working remote, okay? Cursor also have one for agents as well. Let's see, let validate clerk. Let's go, it's done it. So let's go back over and we should have set up our, in this case, like you can see it's got our Vercel OIDC token. I'm going to go ahead and invalidate all of this, so don't worry. But you can see here my actual environment local file. We've got the / sign-ins, we've got the redirect URLs, and then we have the actual Sanity production dataset and the project ID. So it has been created for us. We've got the clerk's secret key and the publishable key, and we've got our Vercel tokens. Everything has basically been set up for us. It's really good. We've got our read and write tokens, and we've got our agent config slug, right? So this is all set up again, just by giving it access to the CLI. And again, don't show people your configuration, okay? Yeah, definitely don't show people your configuration. I'm doing that because it's a demo and I'm gonna invalidate all of that stuff, okay? Now, if we go over to our source, I just want to see, so here we've got our studio already getting prepped up. And in a moment, we'll start to see that this is other clients and then basically how it's going to tap in. Sanity Live is basically you want to put this inside of your layout inside of Sanity. So over at this point, later on, we're actually going to put Sanity Live here, right? So you typically want to put Sanity Live at the top level and that will keep it, what's it called? Updating. So if I was to type, for example, 123 on a product ID or product title, sorry, by simply putting Sanity Live here, it will have live by default behavior. Okay. So very, very simple to go ahead and get up and running. So next up, we have a sub agent kicking off, and this sub agent is responsible. I'm using the executing plans and test driven development workflows. I'll preserve the existing feature branch, verify each behavior test fails before implementation, and keep all of the changes local. So again, what it's doing now is it's starting to do it on different, or it's actually doing it all off of this feature branch. So this is plan task 2 in the local repo, Greenfield next.js, okay. And I'm wondering if we can maybe go ahead and actually do this in private. So it's waiting for a sub agent now, but what I want to do is I want to actually see if we can do multitask. So I'm going to go ahead and say, for example, multitask what you can. Okay, and then let's actually go ahead and force this message in. So I'm going to go ahead and force that one, and also commit at regular meaning intervals, right? So I'm in multitask mode now, and we will actually see it kicking us. So I believe it interrupted that agent, but now what it's going to be hopefully doing is going to be basically multitasking instead. So typically you'll see this in different coding harnesses shown in a different way, but the way it looks here is we have Cursor is like the most abstracted way, to be honest. But inside of Codex, I'm just wondering if I could show you. Do I have any chats I had? This was for a recent project. Okay, so typically it will pop up on the side as your agents being, spawned and everything like that. But in this case, let's jump over here. We'll leave our chat to do its thing. Let's go over to our studios, and I haven't deployed that studio yet, I believe. So we can actually get to it afterwards through the Sanity Studio. I'll show you afterwards. Okay, so let's close Codex and let's let this do its thing. So I always think it's gonna be a good idea to start up another IDE, and I was somewhat regret it halfway through because I've done the first run through in Codex, and I thought it would be a good idea to do the second run through, and I'm just partially regretting it now. Evaluating UI integration. Okay, let's see. Temporary replace Sunny. How I'm concerned. Do we see data leading to inconsistency? So it's trying to find out like what it can do safely in parallel. Right. So one layer is building sanity-cms layer. And the other one is doing a storefront and checkout. That's good. We can do that. And then it's spinning up a third sub-agent, and it's going to go ahead and do that in a different way as well. So I think it's turned off its fast mode. And the last sub-agent we can see in a moment will be build shopping agent backend. Nice. Okay. So in this case, it's doing all three in parallel. Curious how it's going to handle the config side, but I believe it should be able to do that. Now, something that's cool and worth mentioning, if you have parallel agents, so for example, this is how we can see the parallel agents working inside a cursor. Inside a Codex, I'm 100% to what service to use for OTP codes. Clerk itself handles OTP codes for authentication if you need it. Yeah, Clerk literally will handle it for you. Okay. So in this case, it's setting up. Yep, this is nice. Reading out the current skills and so forth. And then let's go ahead and check something else. I'm getting a weird little error on my stream, but that's fine. Parallel work is underway across Sanity. And you'll notice how our main agent thread is not blocked. Okay. So in this case, it's setting up the base of the sanity-cms side of things. And if we go over into the mix, let's have a look. So we've got the Sanity Studio up, the page. This is actually the studio now. So we can actually, run this app if we want to. So if we go ahead and do, Command J, and we do a terminal. Let's open up terminal. Again, I'm not sure if one of these might actually try to go ahead and actually do the terminal run itself. So it might crash, but let's do npm run dev. And we can see it's now running on 3001, okay, because it's used elsewhere, right? That's actually from the other app. So I believe I'm running the other app. Yeah, we're running the other app. So I'm going to kill the other app for now. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go ahead and do npm run dev again. Okay, so there's a few extra things that we can obviously fix afterwards, but you can see that Court Tennis Club is live. Let's go over to here. Let's do localhost /studio, and we should be able to access our Sanity Studio straight off the bat. Okay, so once it's set up, provided you have, in this case, root segment, is not, okay, so we need to go ahead and actually fix this force static error. So we can pop this in, and we can say fix this. And what's nice is obviously because it's in multitasking mode, it doesn't stop the previous three agents. It just starts up, on the main thread, and it will fix that in parallel. Okay. So it spins up a new sub agent to handle that. So fix studio cache conflict, passes it over, and handles that. Okay. Now, quick little water break. I always wonder this, right? Because so Passion Brains right here says prices are not the best. Guys, really, I'm not sure what the pricing difficulty is with Clerk. Clerk has an incredible, huge, like we've gone to production a ton of times, and we've honestly stayed on free for absolutely ages until we need like an enterprise feature or something like that. But just, I'm happy to have a chat about it in the chat, but I don't understand what the kind of pricing confusion is for Clerk. Okay. Fixes in progress with the Sanity workstream. It will remove the incompatible dynamic export and verify the build. Vibe Summer goes, Clerk is awesome for the auth. I used that once for production free plan. Yeah, absolutely awesome, honestly. Okay, so let's close this browser view. Let's have a look over here. And again, any error like this, you can either go ahead and just remove it. And so that you can actually just remove that line. But I wanted to give it to an agent. And then our main agent has understanding that that was a problem in case another one possibly put in, right? So in this case, it went ahead and done it. We can see here. Filters.test. So it's doing so many tests. This is the only thing. Okay. So I'm actually going to say Let's pause on the tests for now. Let's first implement everything, then can add tests later. I could test later, right? So again, you can feel free to, do that with yours or let it do the test. But for me, I feel like it is a bit kind of crazy on the testing side, right? So now it's removed that. So you can see here, boom, we have our login. Now, if we log into our main account, that's going to be the first admin user that is by default set up. So in this case, I believe it will be on my personal account that I've signed up with. Okay, there we have it. So we're inside of the Sanity Studio, and all of this was kicked off. And look at this, you get a free upgrade if you go through my link. Awesome stuff, right? And you can actually reach your main management screen by going to the top left and clicking on Manage Project, okay? And this will take you to the Sanity dashboard. And you can see here, we've got the project ID, organization ID, and all of your usage and everything that you might need in the mix, okay? So at this point, we go to, we actually don't need to do the getting started. You can check out the getting started if you want to do it manually again. You can see all of this if you want to. They've got guided installation, they've got agents set up, tons of different things like agent prompts you can use. But really what we're going to be interested in is, again, usually I would have to set up tokens here. We didn't have to do that. Cause origin has been set up for us using the CLI, and you can kind of run through the rest of it yourself, right? But for now, in case you are wondering on how we can basically see our usage, this is where you would go, okay? But let's go back over to our screen over here. And as things get added in, we're going to go ahead and see things populate through here, okay? So continue CMS without tests, continue storefront without tests, continue agent without tests. There you go. I think it's going to be a bit quicker to get things done, right? So let's go ahead and see the So they're going to end up doing it in the sub-agents and then merging them in, right? So at this point, exploring products, filters, .ts, portable text. Let's see, so Sanity schema types. This is all happening in a sub-branch, I believe, because I can't see it here. Oh, no, we can. Yeah, it's all on the same branch. So in this case, let me go through how the schemas work, right? So we'll have our different schema types. So this is how we write Sanity schemas here. So we've got product image, and this is going to have different fields to it, alternative text and so forth. And again, see how when you install those plugins, our agent understands how to use Sanity. It has relevant context to be able to go ahead and build for Sanity use cases. And again, regardless of what tech you're using, always find the plugins or skills or MCPs that company or service has. And it's going to basically allow your agent to develop way quicker with way less errors, okay? And at that point, you can actually trust it to go pretty damn far by itself. Yeah? We've got the features here, the cart and the checkout. And then we've got data for demo products. In fact, what I would tend to do instead of this is I would tend to go actually just run a entire filter, not for a seeding function on this eventually, but it probably might even do that itself through that demo data. Okay, let's close this out. Test the pause, and now it's basically just building 3 in parallel. And let's look at our usage at the moment. So we're going to dive into plans and usage, and you see we're at 9%. Now it's worth mentioning that Cursor burns through usage a lot faster, in my opinion, of the other models part, because the way I believe it works is, one, it's going to be $100 towards the Cursor models, $100 towards the other models. So this in essence would be like 4% if we were to do it through ChatGPT or Codex or Claude Code. Versus, and then again, if you run out of here, you can always switch to Cursor Grok, right? So it's actually still quite generous. Okay, so you can see here, this is now adding in all of our storefront information. So let's actually see if we can load up the base of the page. I don't think it's going to show the actual beginning, so it hasn't started inputting this yet. Otherwise, we'll get errors flying around all over the place, right? And in the meantime, I guess the most useful thing that I could do is maybe go ahead and showcase to you guys. We've already got this set up. What was it? This is our live agent. Okay. Let me show you what I would be effectively looking for in as the build progresses, right? So firstly, I always have my graph open. So I tend to have basically all of the commits. And as I see, if this becomes like this, is a very big change at this point. Typically, I wouldn't have a huge bulked commit like this. So these are things that I would basically be looking for if my agents were building, because if I wanted to roll back at any point, it's going to have to roll back across these 46 different files if it commits this as one big block. So just things to consider in the mix, okay? And again, they're all working off the same branch right now, which again isn't the best approach, right? But for a demo, it's okay. But I want to voice that so you guys understand how to do it in a production environment. I'd always be using feature branches per agent or a work tree, Git work trees per agent. Okay. Now here's the cool part, agent config, right? So if we go into the agent config, we can actually see this is where we start to get that previous stuff like the system prompt setup, the welcome message. This is also something pretty cool. Fallback message, context slug, and we also have max recommendations. So these are all things which we can customize ourselves, right? Let's go back. What else are we doing here? We got the specs. These again is test files. They went a bit crazy on before. I told it to relax on that. We can do the test after, right? But again, this is really like, this is the way we should code now, right? So I want to kind of come back to that original question earlier. Like, you don't have to really be doing this all manually anymore, right? We've got the API chat route, and I do want to have a look at this actually. So a couple of ways you can build your AI agent in tons of different ways, right? If you just want the streaming chat element, I do recommend you use Vercel's AI SDK, right? So if you just want, let me kind of clarify that. So if you just want to have, Vercel AI, the chat side of things, so this one here, AI SDK, then you can basically, at the very minimal level, just use the AI SDK to grab the bits that you need, right? So it has tons of different kind of add-ons inside the AI SDK. But if you're going to go ahead and build an agent from absolute scratch and want to have it full featured and really kind of like, if I was going to build an agent from scratch, I would actually go towards Vercel's Eve, right? So I've actually done a whole video on this. And then basically, again, you can get your agent to set up the entire thing by setting up a skill. And I would migrate the agent that we built today over to this because it actually does much more and also simplifies a ton, right? So in this case, you can basically, you no longer have to have like a single instance that's basically created. Instead, you can actually just have your Vercel Eve, and the folder structure is what is responsible for going ahead and setting things up. So you have an instructions MD, agent.ts. And then it's so easy to change the model here. You can actually push everything through your AI gateway and change it there as well. The skills, again, are all in a folder structure, and your entire agent configuration is now inside of an agent folder. So I would actually go ahead and push towards this if I was you guys. But we can actually do that as a step afterwards. Absolutely fine. Again, even with sub-agents, if you want to have your own sub-agents, it's so easy to do with the Vercel Eve product, right? So I really recommend you guys check this out. I've done a whole video on that, so feel free to go check that one out if you're interested. Let's go ahead and pop this. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so now we're at 78 changes, so it's building damn quick. Continuing the storefront, let's see where we're at. We've got the storefront shell, site footer, header. And again, you can, all of the other parts of it, I would do a code review for this. I would be checking for specific things. And every now and then I do tend to just jump into a product and see the code quality, right? So again, presentational code, very simple. But I'll show you how I would actually do it afterwards, right? So, Anderson, test or pause. Now, let's go into, I want to show you the actual agent side of things. So source lib agent. So over here. So let's go into our source lib agent. So here we have it. Like, this is actually the most important part. So you see here, this is how effectively Sanity, the skill, has defined how we set things up. Now, if I go over to the documentation on the side and I go ahead and have it open in parallel with this, I can show you how this actually works. So I'm sure I had it open. Yeah. Okay. So there was a few things that we actually had to do. What was it? Let's be set up an introduction. No. So we have the tools, but I believe there was a client tool. So if you do Command K, you can actually search for a client tool. Agent context, available tools. Well, that's actually a different one, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, we'll find out afterwards. But either way, we have the client tools being defined here. So these are all going to be the tools that we custom add, right? So for example, like if I go to where are my tools exported? We have build shop URL, that's a helper function. Client tools are going to be read current page, apply shop filters tool. These are all going to be tools. Basically, a client tool is basically what it can do on our actual application itself, right? So these are going to be where we put it. And what was that noise it popped up with? That noise is usually when it needs some help from me. I don't know if it was on from my ChatGPT or if it was from here. And this is now seeding in data in a moment. So we've got a type gen. This is actually very important. So Sanity type gen is something I'd definitely recommend. When you actually build out your anything with Sanity for that matter, always include Sanity type gen, right? It's very, very important. Like always include Sanity type gen. And effectively what that does is it turns your Sanity schema into TypeScript definitions into this right here. So this type gen file, you can configure it how you want because it generates ./sanity.types.ts. And this means that your code remains type safe. So if we go into sanity.types, let's see if it's actually created yet. So these are all from the skills. These aren't actually being created for us. But if we see type gen, we can actually see here, eventually they'll go into this file here. Schema.json, we don't have yet because it hasn't run yet. So this will actually kick in once it runs for the first time. And that's basically how we get type safety for Sanity. Okay. Building simulated checkout, continuing. So this is pretty cool. It's doing it basically 3 times as quick. Okay. And in fact, let's see if we can toggle fast mode. Cool. I'm not sure if it'll actually kick in and kind of make those old agents run a bit quicker, but you can see here that we got the model, so shopping assistant model, page context. These are all going to be custom effectively. The system prompt here, we have your court club's warm, knowledgeable tennis shopping specialist. But again, this is typically the way you would do it. Okay. The old school way of doing it. You have it in your code. We're going to eventually show you how to do it inside of Sanity, however, so we can actually update it from Sanity side. Okay. Now, if we go over to Sanity, where is it gone? Yeah, here. Sanity, we've got lib. So this is actually setting things up. Components, table, draft mode. Oh, it's even setting up draft mode. Nice. And then we have our individual queries as well. So if we were to look at our index, we can see all of our different queries. For example, our products queries. So these are all basically going to be, and you see here how it's not. So these are things that I'd look out for when it's essentially vibe coding is, okay, so it did use define query here. This is what I was looking for. But here where we have product, okay, so it's just using it there. Yeah, so you want to always make sure it's wrapped in define query. This is important for that type gen step that I spoke about. Okay, so again, chances are it did that correct because we had the plugin installed. Okay, so these are all Grok queries that effectively are going to allow us to navigate the website, build out the features of the website, as well as also our agent, right? So one of them is already done. Continue agent without tests. So that's done. AI implementation is completed and under focus review while the Sanity and Storefront workstreams continue. Now at that point, I'm actually going to go ahead and say, check Sanity Context docs. So agent is configured correctly. And what I always like to do is, again, do not trust an agent to always do the right thing. It's not the right thing to do. I would always recommend you just go to the documentation, so Sanity Context here, and I would copy this URL and I would simply pop it in. And where are we at? We are over here. So pop it in like so. Okay. And again, the context being at 272 versus 1 million, totally up to you. I do prefer it at 1 million. I don't know. Oh, I see. We can only do fast mode at 272. Okay. That's why I deactivated earlier. But to be fair, it's better to lower context. Sometimes you have too much bloat and you don't need to hold on to all of that extra context. Used to create agent with Sanity, so now it's pulled in that skill. So effectively, we can read it on the side actually while it's doing it. And effectively, you can see this trains our agent as to what the agent does, effectively where things are stored, how it works, how Sanity Context works, and so forth, right? So the initial context, fetch schema context via the initial context HTTP endpoint and inject it into the system prompt. Right, so I want to check that the system prompt was set up correctly. MCP connection, authentication, and then we got the tool discovery. We have system. Hey, what's up, Deuce Levo? What's good? He's an awesome OG of the community. Good to see you here. We've got the system prompt, tell the production agent its role, tone, and boundaries as well. And then we've got the URL, and this is the one that gets actually deployed once we publish the Sanity Context document. Right, we've got the content filter slug instructions. Okay, initial context. Always fetch a schema context via the initial context HTTP endpoint and inject it into the system prompt. Right. That's jokes. I just see his what he popped in there. So cool. This is effectively how our agent knows what it's doing, in case you're wondering. Yeah. Let's close this off. And it's Command Shift B, by the way, in case you're wondering. Oh, that's actually the browser. So, okay, what's the shortcut for this? Oh, it's Option Command B. Yeah, I switch between these a lot. we've still got 3 working agents, continue CMS without deploying, continue storefront without deploying. And in this case, let's have a look. Vercel configured gateway model exists, Claude Haiku. And this will also be setting things up with Vercel for us. Now, if you're wondering what the Vercel AI gateway is, oh, look at this. This is cool. I was wondering what that was actually on my page. Oh, okay. That's quite cool, actually. Very unique design. There are some caveats, maybe like, actually, it's not bad, actually. That's actually quite unique. We have an issue here. Next account, unstable value, new date in the client component. So again, we can just pop that in over here. And that's queued in. Okay, let's go back over here. And let's just check out if we can pull in things. So firstly, actually, damn nice. This image isn't loading, so we can fix those things later on. But overall, look, there's different grips. So this is a very good little actually head size patterns. So very, very specific things that we could use for our agent checks. This is quite a good way of handling this, right? This is very nice. Wow. Okay, I'm impressed. AI is getting good with the design lately, and I just kind of one-shotted that. Okay. Use the Sanity Context integration guide to validate the implementation against the current official setup, including MCP transport, initial context, studio configuration, and the insights. Okay, so it's spinning up another sub-agent. While it does that, let's go back over to our studio and see if it's pushed. Yeah. So we have a little error here. So let's just use path name. Okay, so we can go ahead and fix that one afterwards. And again, in multitask mode, I can just pop these through, right? And it will go ahead and tell when to do it. So catalog, products, and we should start seeing all of our products. Smash like button, and new awesome stuff, dude. Let's go ahead and see. So already we have, and we actually got a presentation here, which is actually a whole nother thing I didn't actually even mean to set up, but it set that up for us, which is actually a very cool mode, it's draft mode. And even little details like this all filled. This is all extra stuff that is actually set up for us. Look, content, merchandising, which is the brand, the category, the collections, and all of these are references to actual, so if we click into this, we can actually go into the brand, and these are going to be referenced in other products if this is the same brand, right? So set things up really, really nicely. And again, props to the plugin for that, right? The plugin, when you install it, actually gives it the expertise behind Sanity and knows how to do it, right? Look at this. It also shows where it's used. But most importantly, I care about the agent insights, right? So if we actually go to our agent, Sanity Context, you can see here, and we also have agent configurations and conversations. We can see this one right here, look, Court Club Storefront, sorry. So here's the MCP URL that's been deployed. So this MCP, we give this, don't get it confused, guys. This doesn't go to our Claude code or our codex. This goes to the custom agent that we're building on the website, right? So that little pop-up agent, that's the one that should get this MCP URL, okay? So it can be a bit confusing when we can talk about MCPs. There's a Sanity MCP that our main coding harness is using to access our Sanity account, do things, of that nature, and it exposes tools to be able to do stuff for that. And then there's the MCP inside of Sanity Context, which is effectively the Sanity Context product. And that one is defined when we actually publish our first Sanity Context document, okay? And that's the one that we give to our agent. And you see it fixed that little error that was previously on the page. If we go over to agent insights, let's have a look. We can actually see a drop down of all of our agents, no conversation yet. So that makes sense. We obviously haven't ran it. And let me just go ahead and make this a bit easier to see. We can close this one out. Studio blocking rail. And again, it's only been, what's the time here? It's been an hour and 20 minutes and we're basically almost at that's mind-boggling, right? We're almost at a point where we have an entire backend CMS with a fully flushed out agent, embeddings, everything in perfectly set up, right? With all of our authentication set up, and it's fully ready to go. And that's not just a front-end application. That front-end application has authentication. It has the entire Studio backend, which is protected, so not anyone can come to this. So if I was to, for example, try to go to this URL as an anonymous user, let's go ahead and try and do that right now. Look, you can see, bam, no one can get to that, right? So it's fully secure. It's the way it should be. And if you want to add members to that, you simply go over here. You can invite members to this project, right? So if we go to invite members over here, you can now go ahead and add members to it. And then you've got roles, you've got permissions. In this case, on this plan, we've got 1 of 20 seats, okay? And then you can give them, like I said, different roles and so forth. right? So very, very powerful stuff that we can do here. So let me go back over to this. Studio blocker is resolved. Nice. So I do like the multitask mode because you can kind of spin up things. It doesn't block your main thread. So even when you encounter bugs as you test the app out, it's actually handling a lot of the things for you. So it's pretty cool. Here we're doing the cart provider. So this is handling the dummy cart flow for us, and the backend validate Sanity Context setup. So let's have a look what it's doing. Endpoint probe, confirm the code is blocked by Studio schema, not MCP transport logic. Both initial context and tools list return Sanity's deploy Studio required 400. So again, what you actually need to do at least once when you set this up is you have to basically run Sanity deploy. And that will basically, I can't remember exactly the step, but it basically gives you a deployment that this will be referenced against. But it's very, very good that it found that. Okay. Document exact document based URL shape in the owned environment. So let's have a look at this. Server only document published content is the default perspective. Okay. And then a separate security issue surfaced during the server-only token check. Sanity Lib Live passes the same read token as browser token, which can ship to the browser. I'm checking the current next Sanity contract before deciding whether it's safe to move. So remember, we had a read and a write token. Typically in your code base, we actually have two clients for this, right? So if we go to our client over here, you can see that we typically will have a write client with the Sanity API write token, and we have a normal client with the regular token. Okay, so this is quite important to do. You might remember when I actually used to build everything by hand. This is what I would be doing a lot of the time. And this would allow us to safely use one client for only read-only things. And then, for example, the backend server-side things, which we trust, this is a trusted environment, then we can use the admin write token, okay? And that's why also here you can see it says server only. Right? So this is literally a protective block, like a statement from next.js, which means that this will never render on a client. Okay, so a little bit of a helper thing to go ahead and add in. Now, let's go over, and also it's actually set up presentation mode for us, which is actually very, very cool. So I'll show you what this does. And this is actually cool. I didn't actually plan on building this out, but I'll show you guys anyway. It actually enables something called draft mode, right? So now what you can do, which I think is pretty awesome, and many people don't know you can actually do this, is you can actually inspect the website and actually edit the products on the fly through this presentation tool. So we'll check that out once it's fully built out, but that's pretty awesome. I used to use that quite a bunch in the previous live streams. So it finished all 4 sub-agents, amazing stuff. And now it's gonna go ahead and basically consolidate. CMS modeling is marked complete. Focus safety review is running before its next commit. Storefront implementation is now the active task. And again, what I like to do is come over here. We can see we have the initial, what's this one? Feature, build Sanity tennis content layer, provide typed live catalog content and studio tooling for the storefront and shopping assistant. Okay, so I want to go ahead and check something as well. So I believe it would have ran already. So if we type in Sanity types or types, you can see here, this is the file I was talking about that TypeGen generates. Okay, now TypeGen actually has to go ahead and run every time you actually change the schema. So again, your agent having understanding of this is very important, right? So I hope that kind of starts to, that's why you want to give your agent something like a plugin and so forth, right? So a plugin which includes skills such as the Sanity skill, so it understands, oh, I need to do that every single time, right? We change it and so forth, and then this basically gives us the ability to go ahead and, for example, if I do a Command F here, and I was to just find out if this was used anywhere, let's see. So you can see it's actually inferred. So I don't think we're going to have to do it like this, but trying to see if I can show where. So you see here, it would be agent config. So if we click into it, and you can see each one has actually got a type definition, and we can follow it through. No, I don't think I can show it like this. But either way, the main important thing is here is that it actually gets type safety, right? And I always do a code review of that for my AI work. And it's actually always part of my agents.md or CloudMD file. Okay. The reviewed assistants are now being fixed. So we have 6 sub-agents fixed. And let's go ahead. And now we're in the fast mode. So let's have a look. 23, 25%. So fast mode, again, cut into that quite heavily. But it's been, well, worth it trade-off, I feel. right? 3 working, deploy the context ready schema, review Sanity. And honestly, it's actually mind-boggling because if you think about it, that's actually a very small bit of our usage. We still have all of our cursor Grok and Composer, and I've only used 25% of this. And I've been in fast mode, which doubled the cost. So this could have been at 12%, right? And you've actually got an entire e-commerce store with everything done for you, including the agent embeddings and so forth. And actually, we'll check that part. So Sanity requires, actually not, even then, what I'd recommend again, better thing to do is let's go over to, let's go to Sanity, so Sanity Context, Embeddings is what I would do here. And then you see we have it here. And then I'll just type in embeddings, when to enable embeddings, right? Enable embeddings when your data needs to query content and won't be able to guess accurately the words or phrases to search for it. Product catalogs, knowledge bases, help content, and editorials are good candidates, right? So I typically will go ahead and literally click that, do an, that actually changes the URL to an anchor point. So you typically will have, you see how it has Sanity Context and then it has an anchored point. So I'm going to grab that and then I'm going to go over to my agent. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to say, have you enabled embeddings? Go ahead and pop that in. And now it will go ahead and enable embeddings for us, right? Embeddings have storage and compute costs. Naturally, they will. So in that case, you will have to prepare for that. But enabling the embeddings for existing data set, and then we can see And the good thing is that you don't have to have any particular understanding of how to query or do similarity searches. All you need to do is when you use Grok, you just will do score, text, ... and then semantic similarity. And then you put whatever text you want inside here, right? That could be any kind of search term, right? And then it will go ahead and search. And then you can do the hybrid, which is effectively things like, and this can look confusing at first, but it's actually not that bad, right? Even this, they're searching for only type of product where the category is in footwear. So now you've niched down all of your, an entire product catalog just to your products and all the footwear. And then you're basically piping that with what is effectively the a semantics similarity search, as well as the title and body having this matching text. So basically you're searching across all of these different things, okay? And by the way, this actually does things for you such as chunking, right? So chunking is pretty much like how you would have to, if you had a huge bit of like a huge document that you wanted to go ahead and transform into a vector embedding, you have to chunk it up into different chunks and then do embeddings for those and then basically process the whole thing. This handles all of that out of the box for us, okay? It tells you how it will go ahead and do it. That short documents typically fit into a single chunk, while large documents split across multiple. Each chunk is embedded as a separate vector and stored independently, scored independently at query time. Okay, so they actually get scored. So if you had like a huge thing and it had like 33 chunks, each 33 chunk will get scored independently when you query. Okay, so a few things to know in that sense. Okay, no, Sanity reported 0 embeddings indices for production. So again, you see it wasn't turned on. I recommend enabling embeddings for semantic product discovery. So let's enable embeddings. So, and yes, I want to enable them. Help me out. So you see what I mean? Like we often have to guide it still. Okay. But again, you see how it got there on a huge amount on its own. And again, like you see what we can do is we can either have it at localhost/studio, which it will always be there. So even when we map it to our domain name, it'll be /studio. And again, it'll be gated and protected. But you also can deploy to Sanity, and that will give you another link like this, right? So we can actually go over to this. And this one is completely independent of your app. You can just deploy this one, and provided you have access as a user and you've been invited to that project, you can go ahead and view the entire Sanity Studio over at your Sanity login. And remember this page that we were on before? Let's go ahead and pin this one. And I have loads of old pinned ones here, actually. Let's get rid of these. So I can pin this. And now inside of the Sanity Studio, I can access everything. And think about it. This is what product teams are going to be doing, right? They even have a very cool thing called the content agent, which I did a video on, I believe. But this can actually help us write, like, for example, descriptions or, anything about the content. They've gone to levels where they can basically help you out with all of this, right? Help me find specific products, help me write for things. It's pretty awesome. Okay. Okay, so everything is kind of getting tallied into here. So not only is it going to be on your actual website at /studio, but you also have this Sanity deployed studio as well. Okay, so quite cool things, right? Like you can even add favorites. That's pretty cool. Even rich text, right? So rich text editing and so forth. Okay, so use the Sanity Context workflow to enable dataset embedding, scope them to public shopping content, and wire semantic discovery into the MCP safely. So that's one thing. So like you can actually see, where is it doing it? So there's actually a, no, not that one. Not deprecating it with a product focus projection. I'll verify readiness. Okay, so let it handle that, but effectively it should run the following command. So where is it? It will run, where is it? Dataset embeddings. We can do it here. So enabling embeddings. And I like to copy this, go over. You enabled, I always check it as well. You enabled like this. Okay, just pop it in. Again, you go back and forth, ask questions, whatever the case, right? And again, this is actually a really good opportunity for you guys to ask questions as well. Yes, the current dataset method for an existing dataset, perfect. You use the product focus projection, deprecated. And then again, you can ask questions for it. For example, now if I say, if I update a product, when does the embedding update? And do you need me to configure anything? Okay. So again, like it's not just a case of you just trust an agent, and this goes for anything you do with AI agents. Okay. It's not just a case of like you've given it a skill and now it can run blindly to the end line. No, still understand how to work with them. And there you go. Sanity updates embeddings automatically after product changes, usually within 1 minute, occasionally longer due to batching. You don't need extra configuration. You just publish a product and then only fields in our projection affect semantic ranking. So price and stock remain exact Grok fields. If you add new searchable schema fields later, we should update the projection. So for example, this part here, okay? So can you show me where the searchable fields are defined? Okay. And now we can go ahead and we can start asking these kind of questions, figuring out things, right? But let's also see what agent is still doing it. So one agent is enabling the actual embeddings, and another agent is reviewing the CMS issues. Okay. The projection is supplied via projection when enabling embedding. I'll share the exact ones once generation finishes. Okay, so I believe it would have done it when, oh, so you actually give the fields here when you do it. Okay. Cool. Control your embeddings with projections. So here we can see that projections define what content gets embedded. This directly affects the size of your embedding. Now think of it this way, okay? So let's go over to our product and I'll show you an example of this. So if we went over to our, this one is, okay, that's being updated at the moment. Which one is deployed on Sanity Studio? I have it. This one, yeah, okay. So if we, for example, the projections, so which fields would we want to include as metadata for a embedding, right? So remember, the more data you include, yes, it's a good thing, I guess, but again, it's going to make it pretty big. And also, do you need certain things? For example, title, 100% yes, right? It should be a part of metadata. Slug and base queue, not necessarily. Those can be Grok, right? Grok queries can be easily checked exactly against these things. Base queue doesn't change, right? And it's also, it can't be written in several different ways. That's my kind of top line test here, right? So title I would include, summary I would include, right? Low profile cushioning, durable, hardcore traction. These things can be very useful. Description, 100% I would include, right? And then product type, you could include that if you wanted as well, right? But the point is, even that I would put as a Grok query. So there's no need. Description, summary, title. Those could be amazing enough, right? 10 specifications. You see here, like even these recommended play styles, all of these could actually be a part of it, right? If you wanted to, right? But again, these are all things. So things like the fit, these could be Grok queries if they're set values. versus if these could change potentially, like, maybe these aren't, if this wasn't a drop-down list, then yes, I would. If it was a loose text file, I would include that in the embedding. But as it's not, so that this is a drop-down, I would keep that in the Grok query. This materials, yes, I would include that inside the embeddings, right? So you see what I mean? Like you can kind of go through these and really, really see things out, right? You've got variants as well, right? So you've got different variants of the same actual tennis racket. I believe that's a racket. So let's go back over here. Let's see. So here we have it. They're defined in the server-side dataset embeddings projection, not sanity type gen. View them with npx sanity dataset embedding status production. Let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do Command J. Let's close this one out. And in fact, why is that up here? Let's just pop that up here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it in. And we should be able to see the sanity production. So you can see that the projections are type product, title, summary, description text, literally what I said, right? And then we have, I didn't realize the music stopped, right? And then we have things like the product type, materials, play levels, play styles, product type. And then here, this is where it basically will go into a referenced file and expand it. So for example, product type is racket, but when you see this means expanded projection. So it's going to now go into that and basically also embed the racket specifications and everything that you see in between, right? So this is when you typically will see an expansion. So that's the syntax for it. But again, if you get confused, you can just ask AI to explain that to you, right? Really, that's the difference here. Just understand how to work with this stuff as opposed to trying to memorize every single thing, right? Dataset embeddings is enabled and ready. Searchable projection includes products, title, summary, description, type, materials, play level, styles, relevant specs, as well as brands, categories, and collections, and buying guide text. Nice, okay? Context semantic guidance and embeddings true are configured and verified. Template configured and committed as the following, okay? And if we see that, now if we go over to our agents, we go to here. I don't know if we can actually see the embeddings here. I think the embeddings are all actually going to be through the CLI. But if we go to our agent configurations, I just want to double check here, system prompt. So I do see, this is actually a question I have. So I do see that we have got a system prompt here. We have Sanity Context, which is a system prompt inside of here, I believe. So we have instructions. So I want to get clarity on this. Okay, so prime example of a good question. So we can say, I see system prompt in a few places, including instructions fields for agents. Clarify and explain which one is the one that is used, because it could be a case that it's stepped up on, and basically applies one after another. So it could always, for example, include this main system prompt, and then this instructions is applied after the system prompt. There's a few different things that could happen. Okay, conversations. I don't know if it's done testing yet, but we can see here. So the customer chat uses the system prompt.ts, which is a hard-coded build system prompt stream text system. It also appends the active sanity context documents instructions, right? So this is actually the active sanity context. This is the active sanity context one, instruction. So it will append this. So any of the team, and that's actually good, right? Because you might want some stuff to not be changeable, right? This, we might want to have it absolutely set in stone, right? And I believe we could actually even move this to Sanity if we wanted to, right? But this, for example, makes a bit of sense because you might want something like this set in stone. You really don't want a product team to come in here and accidentally change this and delete it thinking it was nothing, and you're kind of screwed, right? The instructions are on top of this, okay? So it appends the active sanity instructions. The seeded agent config system prompt is currently unused. The chat route never fetches it. Classify prompts only analyze. So, okay. Let's see, it's currently unused. Okay. So, sanity. Okay, so this is good. So now that you do not have live order, payment, fulfillment, or customer account data. So this we want to change, right? So you can do some really cool things with this, right? So we want to know the customer's, order, their payment, their fulfillment, or their data. So how can we go ahead and fix these different things? So in this case, if I was to go ahead and pop this in, we can say, saw this in system prompt. I want to upgrade things. So the agent can see who is logged in. In fact, I'm going to speak to it because this is how I typically would do it. I use superhuman voice transcription. So I've got on option spacebar. I want to upgrade things so the agent can see who is logged in. In fact, a customer must be logged in order to speak to an agent. So let's change it for that use case. In addition, let's introduce some tools so that the agent can fetch a customer's previous orders, payment fulfillment, and also their account data. That includes their name and so forth. And we should use Clerk's logged in user data to help with this. The agent should also have an understanding of the cart items that are actively inside of the user's cart so that it can give relevant information. Add all of this to our prompt and update the instructions as necessary inside of the Sanity Context instructions published document on Sanity side. Okay. Oh, Sanity. Sanity. That's my British accent screwing that one up. Pop that one in. Okay. So a few things like that, you can actually come in. And again, this is where you can use that skill that we actually saw earlier, which was the Sanity skill that we installed. And I believe you can actually see it for ourselves. If we go into the code, let's go over to agents. You see dial your context. There's a skill.md. Let's have a look at it. Help a user create the instructions field content for the Sanity Context MCP server. The goal is a concise set of pure deltas. Only the information, where is it? Only information the agent can't figure out from the auto-generated schema, right? And in this case, this could help us out a ton, okay? So if the schema makes it obvious, don't put in instructions, never generalize from small samples, right, and so forth. So I actually want to do this one right now, dial your context. And I have actually included this inside of the instructions, inside of the actual repo. So in the repo, the GitHub repo for the first build that I gave down below, you can actually see if you scroll down to the Sanity section, where we go through all of the Sanity context setup, you can see here it explains all of the MCP connection and everything else, as well as the embeddings. But more importantly, if we go down here, you can see on part 9, so part 8, we still have to do conversation insights, but part 9, tuning, the loop that makes it good. So dial your context and shape your agent, right? So these two, one is for the instructions field and shape your agent is for the system prompt. Okay, so we're going to use those in a sec as well, right? And we just heard the noise. I think I'm not actually pushing it through here. So I'm actually going to push that through my actual speaker. So that way you guys can hear it. Oops. So that way you guys can hear that noise as well. Question, should previous orders, payment, and fulfillment be a real cross-device server data or remain demo data stored in the clerk-auth supplies identity profile, but is not an order database? So we can actually say orders should be stored in Sanity, right? When dummy checkout processes. So again, I probably didn't give it enough context in the beginning. Actually, I should have explained that a bit. Using the brainstorming clerk and Sanity context workflows design safely before implementation. Okay. How much clerk profile data may the assistant use in replies? First name by default, full name, and primary only when relevant. Yep. And again, you really want to shape your agent and spend time on shaping your agent, right? How should Sanity's conversation insights handle authenticated chats containing account and order context? Keep insights, but redact profile, email, order IDs, and tool payloads. That's actually quite important because it could include sensitive data. But this comes down to your policies that you have for data retention. So again, really depends on business to business here. I'm not going to give you a promise. However, you see you can customize it, okay? But in this case, we could have the full transcripts, but let's go ahead and redact profile because at this point, we just want to see the conversation. We actually don't need to know which user it was, right? So that's probably the best way, especially when you're dealing with AI and it's going to an external party, right? Now, what should signed out visitors see when the assistant launches normally? Show a locked launcher that opens a clerk sign-in prompt. Yep, let's do that one, right? Nice. So now we're improving it. So it's going to go ahead now. And already, I mean, this is looking awesome, man. If I go to Ask Active Club, right now, this actually works, but we're improving it. So we want it to have, you know, and again, like, sorry, you have to be logged in to use it. And that's actually a benefit, by the way, because you don't actually, I do tend to find that, yes, it could be a layer of resistance, but if you're introducing an AI agent, I would do that first before making a public AI agent that anyone can access. because it's expensive to run an AI agent if you don't do it correctly, because anyone can come on there and just spam the thing and you're paying for every single question that's asked that way. So these are all things to factor in. Okay, so I would actually rather know that that is a user that has an account on the site. So that way, if they do go crazy, you can either rate limit them, block them, whatever the case. Okay, shop the collection, let's have a look. So in this case, we've got a couple of things, service snip polo, and we are definitely going to be asking questions about all of this in a sec, right? And look, it pairs well with this. Really, really cool. It was very, very nice how it's done it. All right. Quite attractive how it's done all this. But if we were to go ahead and add something in, so add to bag, cool. We've got a few bits going on here. Look, you see, clerk-auth is unavailable. Add to core bag. Oh, we're added 2 now. If we go to our bag, let's go ahead and see even this. Like you see, like little test things we would probably go ahead and fix. Sign into the core club, and again, this input field not very nice. So little things like this, I would just come through, and I would go ahead and actually just screenshot them. So I'd screenshot that. I would go ahead and actually screenshot this one as well. But we go here and we simply paste that in, and I can also say paste this, and give it here and say fix UI can't read text. Okay. Again, multitask mode. So I can just keep on throwing things at it and it's going to do this. Codex does this really well. Claude Code naturally does it, everything sequentially. So these are all things to factor in. All right. Now, this is going to start another sub-agent for that task. And then we have one working agent that is basically figuring out the previous task, which was for, what's it called? Handling the clerk and sanity context workflow. Okay. So, but already, I mean, come on, guys, this is amazing. The fact that we have all of this in place already, it's unreal. Like, if I was to go over here now, look, Workspaces/Studio, similar to the demo we had in the beginning, like this is record time stuff. Like to be able to have a full CMS with everything in the picture, with embeddings enabled, it's nuts, right? Having all of this out of the box is crazy. Now, by the way, if you're probably wondering, but Sunny, you never gave a Vercel key, right? How the hell did that work? I'll show you how mine worked, because when it created the Vercel side of things, I remember I installed the plugin, right? I installed a plugin for it to be able to go ahead and actually have Vercel skills and MCP access and so forth. Well, previously I've actually authenticated my Vercel CLI. So I'm just going ahead and loading it up now. Give me 1 second. But I'll show you where that project was actually likely created. So here we can see it. You've got the Court Club on my Vercel account. So I'm over at the Vercel website. We have Court Club Tennis. If I click into it, right now this hasn't been deployed against, but if we go to the AI Gateway, you can actually see we've got the keys already kind of, if we go to API keys, so these are actually basically keys which I've already set up previously. But this done it actually with the OIDC key. Right? So I need to actually go ahead and redact that one because I showed it on stream earlier. But basically, what does that mean? You can either create a key and add it to your environment.local file, or if you've authenticated your CLI, you can get something called an OIDC key. I believe it's OIDC. Vercel OIDC key, a token, which basically, if you're authenticated, it will go ahead and give you a fresh token. In this case, for up to 90 minutes. But it does that based on your authenticated CLI session. Okay, so it's a much more secure way of doing it. May I create a separate private commerce dataset in the same Sanity project for orders, payment status? Create the private commerce dataset. Public catalog will remain unchanged in context whenever access private records. Okay, let's do that. The existing production Sanity dataset is public, so storing clerk IDs or customer will expose private records. Sanity remains viable, so but only through a separate private dataset and owner scoped server tools. So we're going to create a separate commerce database in dataset in the same Sanity project. So we actually have 2 datasets, right? So if you didn't know, you could actually do that, right? So you can have 2 different datasets. So we have one production, which is basically what everyone is going to see. And then we have a second one, which is going to be the private stuff that is going to be totally separate and independent to our production information. approve this architecture. So we've got here, proposal, the production remains a public source for products, guides, policies, and Sanity Context. Yes, for the agent as well. New private commerce data set stores user-owned orders, demo, payment, status, fulfillment, and redacted conversation records. Yes. Checkout becomes an authenticated server, right? It derives user ID from clerk, validates clerk product. Yep. Okay. Then stores a sanitized order. Card number, CVC are never transmitted. That's good. That's a must, right? API chat orders. Okay. Okay. So let's just trust it with this one. But yeah, you would go through ideally everything, right? Approve this architecture. Let's go ahead and continue. And also, I'm going to go ahead and say to it that we also want to do one more step, which is agent insights. So remember in the beginning where I had insight information. So if we go over to the back end, so here we have the 3000/studio agent insights. Okay. So here I actually want to go ahead, and once it's set up and we basically chat, we can go ahead and get the insights pushed through here. Do these data fields, tools, boundary, and privacy rules look all right? So read-only tools, get customer account, get my orders, list my orders, read current cart. Okay, let's just trust it for now. Commerce, order, source, clerk, user ID. But yeah, you would really want to like dive through this with a fine-tooth comb when you do this. But as a demo today, it's not that important. But yeah, heading back over this part. So agent insights. On the side, I'm going to go ahead and say, in addition, set up agent insights. So we get the following, and this is actually done through a cron, I believe. So a sanity function. So sanity context agent insights. Okay, I'm going to show you what this does. So adding insights to sanity context. Sanity Context Insights tracks and analyzes your agent conversations, right? So basically, it will rank them from 1 to 10. It'll give you sentiment. So if the happy conversations, negative conversations, quite important stuff. Like you definitely would want to know. So this is like the observability layer. And then you have 2 steps. Number 1 is enabling telemetry, right? So in this case, we'd have to enable this. So enable add Sanity Insights to your existing stream text calls. So all you would do is basically go ahead and add it with this, and then basically it's going to go ahead and add, like basically when the streams text back to the user, it's going to go ahead and also kind of stream it over to Sanity side so we can actually store it and reference it, and then deploy the classification function. Now, I believe on the free plan, you can do it hourly, and then any paid plan after that, you can do it per, like on a minute basis. So like if you want to have it like every minute, if you really wanted to, you could do it that way as well. But hourly, in my opinion, is enough because you wouldn't be checking this like based on minutes and so forth. Sunny inspired to make my new project. I'm so happy you did that, dude. Please just use the link in the description when you sign up for Clerk and Sanity. That's all I ask. Yeah. And then here we have the actual functions, and this is where you deploy your Sanity function. So classify conversations, and this will basically set up a cron job that runs on Sanity side, and this is how that works. And then this will basically go ahead and classify all of those agent insights. So let's go ahead and grab this and just set up agent insights so we get insight information correctly. I'm going to paste that into it. Cool. Okay. So it's very much looking good so far. Let's can follow. We're in Zambia this day. Oh, I'm glad you're here now, dude. Welcome to the stream. And again, just smash that like button if you haven't already, guys. And remember, we had authentication working, and it's so simply set it up that I didn't even check into it. So if we have a look over at Clerk side, let's go ahead and take a look at our Clerk dashboard, right? So clerk.com. Let's go to our dashboard. So we're going to head over to here, and we can see Court Club Tennis has been created, right? We haven't, did we sign in? Yeah, we did sign in. So in this case, prod. Oh, maybe I didn't since I was messing around. Okay, so let's go over here and let's sign in to our prod, right? So, and your email address, okay, that does not look very nice, right? I don't know what it did there, but it's not very nice what it did. So I'm going to change that up. This looks horrible. I'm going to fix that, right? Fix that out, continue with you. And again, that was a very bad prompt. I'm just going to put that out there. That was a very lazy prompt. This is horrible. You should give it actually insight, but even a little fix like that, I'm sure it'll do a decent job of just making it look a bit better. All right. We've got a slight issue here. Hydration issues, very easy to fix. Now we've got our account. So if we go over to our clerk now, we should be able to see, boom, this one. Let's go back to our clerk. I just had it open. Where is it? Clerk CLI. Here we are. So if we go over here now and we refresh, we have our user. Hey, it's all connected. Amazing. Okay. So it's really good. And then of course, if you wanted to add things like, like a pro plan for your, your premium tennis members, so easy to do with Clerk. They include Clerk billing as well. So you can actually go ahead and literally enable this here or get your agent to set up that whole thing. Actually insane, right? You can get the whole thing done for you. So let's go over here now. And let's just test this out roughly. But I feel like it's still updating it, but help me choose a beginner racket. And let's just search. I believe it's going to fail at the moment because it might fail because it's doing a ton of stuff in the back, right? So if we head over here, I'd love to help you find the right beginner racket. Let me check what we have in stock. Great news. We have a solid beginner option, view product. That's awesome. Oh, this piece left the call, right? So the current collection is waiting in the equipment room. Interesting. So this one, it actually ran into an issue. So again, it could be because I haven't actually set something up correctly, or because one of my agents is doing something around that, but ran into an error. So, or it could have literally just been the product wasn't on the correct thing. So shop/Rally House, right? So let's go ahead and go into a product. So it should actually have found it, but maybe it didn't do it okay, so interesting. Rally House Post, but designed to, or maybe it should only show, in stock things. But the fact it created a custom 404, very nice, right? That's actually pretty good. And we've even got the racket guide as well. So you're looking for something focused on power or easy hitting. So I'm gonna say power, right? And again, this has all been set up through the instructions and the system prompt. Okay, you can see perfect. The Rally House is exactly what you're looking for. And say, I want a racket. I spelled it totally wrong. I want a racket over 200 US. Okay, and let's see. Let me find the range. Let me find beginner rackets in that higher price tier. Boom. We currently don't have any beginner rated rackets. Would you be open into looking at intermediate? Yes. You see how we've got a full chat here, streaming everything in the mix, right? So Sanity, the skill is so good at getting the agent right? And they actually set this up with the Vercel AI gateway. Let me pull up the immediate and intermediate rackets over 200. Search catalog. We don't have any intermediates. Let me check our full racket lineup to see what's available. Here's what we have over 200. Core Labs, Apex at 200. And again, stuff like this, I can add in more snippets or widgets. So for example, that's not very helpful. I would want it to actually show a widget instead. Right, so here I want to say show widgets whenever mentioning products. Yeah, because it will be a lot more useful to the user, right? The concierge linked a real Sanity product, but the route only search demo products, right? So I'm updating product pages to resolve. Oh, okay. So it didn't actually use the actual Sanity products. Right now we have the demo stuff actually in the mix. So it should, in a moment, actually get this correct. That's probably because of this. So if we go shop/wildcard, if we look inside the code, so let's go here. We go to source app, shop, wildcard page, right? We can see generates data params, demo products. Demo products. Yep, it's pulling from here. We shouldn't do that. This was done in the beginning as like, a helper. But we do not want to have demo products here, right? So get rid of the demo products. So this right here, and this is again a reason why you still need to understand what you're doing with code, right? Remove the hard-coded demo products. Use Sanity real ones. Okay, throw that in the mix. And again, you can see that all of our agents kicked off. Boom, come over here, plan usage 41. Again, I'm on fast mode, okay? So that's me being a bit like kind of pushy with the speed over here, and it hasn't yet at all tapped into any of its Grok usage or anything like that. The hard-coded catalog is the source of the AI storefront mismatch. I'm replacing all demo with Sanity queries. And this is my point. As amazing as any of these helpers are, whether it be skills, MCPs, or whatever the case, you need to understand how to use agents. Don't blame tech, blame your understanding of how to use it. Okay, so that's what I try and teach in these kind of streams. But already we can actually see that this is actually working from the correct thing. So the Sanity Context is actually live working. So if I go to shop all, and look at this club account as well, kind of cool. Yep, you're playing identity, use avatar, view your bag. This is cool. What's this? Oh, that's actually my bag. Okay, let's see. So if I was to go, for example, like here and say capacity 38 liter, I need a bag. I need something where I can store 2 rackets, right? So that's a very specific question. Okay, so let's go ahead and restart. I'm gonna go here. I need storage that can fit 2 rackets, right? So in this case, you see how I did it on purpose. I need storage, not a bag, but I said I need storage. I need storage that can store 2 rackets. Okay, I'm going to quickly copy it because it was hot reloading because the agents are changing stuff. So I need storage that can store 2 rackets, and then probably might hot reload because the agents are doing things, right? And I did that on purpose because it's semantic meaning. I'll search the bags and storage options that can store 2 rackets. Boom. Now we have baseline, athletic 12 racket bag and the rally house core tote. Okay, so in this case we have I found 2 great options for storing rackets. Okay, so this bag is up to 2, and then it found these right here. So which appeals to you more? So these again, demo. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to give it a sec. So I was looking at the demo one, the demo options. So that wasn't actually raw data I was looking at. So this isn't actually inside of Sanity at the moment. So we need to wait for it to pull from that one. It fixed those little UI bugs though, which is awesome. Okay. Demo catalog is being removed completely, and boom. So 2 of our agents finished. Migrate storefront to Sanity. It's doing that right now. So it's getting rid of those old ones. Yep, that's great. Product store. There we go. So you can see. This is interesting though. So this is a thing that I'll definitely check on. So, okay, it is doing it. It's pulling our Sanity types. That's good. Okay. It's a must. It must be pulling from Sanity types. Otherwise, you run into a hell of a lot of issues. Okay. So catalog, stock label, cool. And then show widgets if ever mentioned. Product cards will now be enforced. And it did already. We saw that. Let's refresh. This is actually fixing it now. Guarantee product widgets and migrate. Okay, so system prompt. Let's see. It got rid of this, I believe, when mentioned. Oh, it changed that chunk. Sorry. And these are things where you would want it to be quite specific, typically, right? When retrieving products for recommendation and comparison, the interface creates a product card automatically from verified product documents in completed query results. Never fabricate document IDs or discuss products are not retrieved. Use read current page only when the current page genuinely helps answer the question or the request. And returns a privacy safe page metadata and never a screenshot. Okay. That's actually quite a handy thing to add in, because sometimes you could be like, on this page, I see something. It's not things we often think about, but it can be big things. So look at that. That already looks a lot better for the sign-in page now. Before that was looking pretty rough. The demo catalog is being removed completely. Yep. Okay, it's doing it. Done one of them, which was the product widgets. And the second one, I believe, will almost be done now. And to be honest with you, I'm super impressed because at this point, I'm on fast mode at 44 usage, right? So fast mode, 44 usage, which again is equivalent to $100 subscription, like around $40. That's huge amount of value considering that. Imagine if you had a client. Okay, so again, this will fix after that is done, and we can fix things like this afterwards as well. So even this, let's just throw that in. It'll fix it. Imagine you have a client that comes to you and basically suggests that, okay, I need to go ahead now. Even this bit, we can change the thumbnails of these. So we can go ahead and screenshot this. Pop this in, say each should have different images. And again, it will go ahead into Sanity, update these, right? So even, yeah, if say, for example, this was literally a tennis club, right? You're in a tennis club, you're paying monthly to play tennis there. you overheard a conversation, the site sucks, or you just noticed that the site sucks. You could go ahead, pitch your services, be like, I'll happily rebuild the entire thing, No joke, you can give them the entire thing. And imagine the actual kind of functionality behind it. You've just built authentication, right? A mobile responsive application, right? The whole thing is you've got AI in the mix as well, right? And if we go into the back end over here, AI in the mix as well as agent insights, and soon we'll have agent sentiment analysis as well. So if we hit a refresh, I believe it should have actually kicked one off already. So let's go ahead and see. So we haven't got sentiment analysis yet. So we'll go ahead and check on that in a moment. But we can actually see conversations in a sec. So if we go down here, we should be able to see our conversations. Okay. So I can click into this. I can now see, yep, we've got the user message, or the agent replies, and so forth. So now I've got my observability layer in the mix. We've got the sentiment. Let's have a look at sentiment because I actually want to cover that gap. I believe both required insight sets will be configured in the private commerce dataset. The conversation 10-minute cooldown. So before we'll use the official sequence experience. I think it's still doing it, to be honest. Fixed quant, use distinct main categories. Agent insights isn't showing the sentiment, etc. and analysis. Yeah. Likely could be down to the fact that it's storing it in a separate data set. But we'll look into it. But even here at the presentation, let's see if they actually fix this tool, because this is a very good tool. And I kind of want to show it. So you see API draft mode. So if we look here, you see this, if I scroll down. So say, for example, this, okay? Or let's go even further. Say here, no mention documents. Yeah. If I click into this, we need to replay that point. Okay, so I think it's still doing a couple of things. Even the categories, I feel like it's going to fix that afterwards. But right now the shop, okay, so it needs to fix a bunch of stuff, actually. Should I treat the authenticated agent design spec as approved and begin implementing the private commerce dataset plus redacted insight classifiers now? Oh, it was still handling it. Okay. And we should actually have a spec popped up. Interesting where we didn't get that popped up. But for now, I'm going to trust that it's doing it, right? This is the thing. When we have loads of tasks going on at one time, we can get a bit lost, right? Edris Maya goes, whoa, what's up? This is huge. He goes, hey, bro, you really changed my life in Afghanistan after watching your YouTube videos and developed enterprise level project. Yo, that's huge. Awesome stuff, dude. And thank you so much. Jay, screenshot that, please. And I'm so thankful to have members like yourself in the community. Huge. That means so much. Thank you for making my day. Wow. That's really, really cool to hear that. And I'm so glad that you take the knowledge and you actually applied it and changed your life. It was you that changed your life. I just kind of made videos on YouTube and I'm glad it helped you, dude. Awesome. Wow. Draft implementation plan. So here we can see the spec is approved. I'm preparing the implementation. Okay, so it actually didn't do that yet. That's why we can't see it yet. Okay. Plan drafting is underway. Implementation will follow once it passes a self-review. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and do the plan now. So again, it was just, I guess, stuck in a thought process somewhere. Fixed cart hydration mismatch. It's going to go ahead and handle that on its own. And then we have, that's the initial error we got when we loaded the page, and then use distinct category images. And also I noticed how if we're on the actual page itself, so here, shop all, doesn't show anything. Interesting. Okay. So if we go over here as well, hit an unexpected line. Okay. So we hit an error here. So not on this sub-agent. Coordinate task. Let's do this one. Hit an error. And again, the problem is here is that I'm actually doing a bunch at once. So it's probably changing some of the product list page and so forth, the catalog data. It's probably actually fixing exactly what I thought was a problem. But we'll see if that's the case. Quick little water break as well. And then we can actually do a nice little sanity test here. If we click this over here, and let's go ahead and do, find a gift under 100. Oh, okay, let's do a refresh. Yeah. One thing I haven't shown actually, if you do Command Shift B, you can open up the browser here and it can actually do testing inside the browser. So the reason why it's not showing that now is because remember in the beginning I said don't test as much, right? But it can also do that. So it's found, it's trying to figure out what the error exactly was. And to be honest with you, at this point, I probably don't need to be in GPT 5.6, right? I could probably fly through this with Cursor Grok. I'm tempted to switch it right now and see what we can do. I don't know if that's a good idea, to be honest with you, but let's maybe do that and see. Who cares? Let's give it a try. So I'm going to switch model now to Cursor Grok 4.6, high fast, right? Fast mode significantly faster, but consumes more usage. Okay, absolutely fine. Let's stick it on extra high. And let's see how it goes. It's 50% off, so we might as well use it. And again, I'm at 1% at the moment, so we can see how that effectively does on our usage. 1% on the Composer and Grok usage, okay? So again, the old ones, the old models that are running are still using the GPT. Oh no, actually, they might have switched model as well. We'll see how it goes, right? Reproducing and cache and tracing the exact stuff. So now apply every narrow cause fix and verify the affected storefront routes. But I'll be curious to see if it's going to be using that or not. As in that model from like if you switch model halfway through, if it did that or not. And let's have a look what this one did. So suspense fallback sanity preview. This was for actually the sanity preview layer. Okay, so I even found an error there. But imagine, yeah, going back to the original point, how crazy is it that in 2 hours you can have an entire website with CMS and agent all up and running? Huge. Again, if you try to do this manually, you'll run into a lot of different things. You have to build your own CMS. You have to go ahead and get the embeddings right. You have to go ahead and do all these things. This is my way. I would handle it every time, right? So in this case, it went ahead and gave us products. And the thing I'm noticing here is it's doing it afterwards, the widgets, right? I think that's a bit of an annoying user experience. So it found them. I guarantee it's not going to show them. Is it going to show them? Let's see. Oh, it is actually rendering it now. Okay. So it's rendering them out now. That's quite cool. And again, you can change that to be a second picture if you wanted. It's just meant to be some aesthetic thing that is added in. Caching disabled. I would probably fix this afterwards, but I would make it so look. Wildlands or cache will bypass the case when the cache is disabled in the browser dev tools, the page was hardware or draft mode is disabled. As a result, okay, so that's probably on purpose because we're in dev mode, right? But I want these to render inline. Widgets should be inline. Okay, so let's go out of this. Widgets in chat, product widgets, product card, widgets in chat should be inline. Okay, the cart mismatch is fixed. So now we have the if we were to render, for example, a homepage, hit a refresh. Yep, that's it. So before, what was happening is when it was trying to figure out what was in the cart, we got that mismatch, the little error that popped up, and that was what was causing that little thing. What is behind the? Oh, it's draft mode. I see, that was in draft mode. That's why we got this. Okay. So the reason why I was in draft mode is because I had over here, my bad. So Studio, if you're in Studio in presentation, it adds a header called draft mode. And that's how Sanity effectively does this very, very cool feature that you're going to see right now, right? So when we're on this page, you can see like /shop, and I've got a ton of tools. It's the only thing is it's not finding the matching documents. So I will get it to fix this. So in this case, if I was to go ahead and do this, let's go ahead and attach this. So I'm going to say fix. Now this, we'll say fix the Sanity presentation, implementation. See, no tools are shown. And this is a very simple fix, I believe. I've done this a few times. It's likely just not got one thing in the mix. And I can't exactly remember what it is, but Sanity presentation tool. If we look at this, configuring the presentation tool, literally grab this and you can see here, define config. I believe it would literally be this. It is the issue that's probably not enabled. Yeah, let's go ahead and put that in. See no tools, no products. See no products are shown. I don't want to revert. That's fine. See no. That's fine. Okay. So, I mean, Grok seems to be fast, to be honest. Let's have a look at usage quickly, just see if we're using it. Okay, so right now, the old models are still using, the GPT-5.3. Our fixed presentation, so shop preview exposes editable documents instead of an empty no matching documents pane. Fixed sanity presentation, so it's doing it. Now, this is using Grok, 100%. So we can see how fast this one is. And I'm in extra high usage. But it seems to be pretty cool. And also, a fun fact, if you didn't know, Grok's internet, I think it's like 5 what's the speed? It'll be teraflops or something, but it's teraflops. It's not like a gigabit speed. It's like 5 teraflops or terabit speed. It's crazy. It's like 5,000 gigabytes or something. It's insane. I saw it in a recent video. Found the shop failure. Sanity fetch ran outside of a use cache scope. That catalog path is already fixed. Cool. Leftover issues. Use cart must be used inside cart provider on product pages. Right, I'm fixing that now without undoing the hydration change. So now you've got a bunch of agents doing a bunch of fixes. Right. Inline chat product cards. Cards are currently appended after the full reply. I'll inspect the markdown renderer, product directive, and reference. The storefront is up. I'll reread the files. And you see how this is blazing through it. Wow. Okay. Okay. Any final questions, by the way, as well, as we begin to come to the end of the build, because we're actually starting to get to a really good point here. Let me disable draft mode for a sec, come back to it. I want to check, is this one working now? If we go to, yep, category is now working. So we've got categories. So we can see bags, footwear, and so forth. And again, if we notice, these are not showing. So apparel and bags, these are all things that you can honestly just go in and really, like, you know, click through and fix yourself. Like this is just the image being, like, you can just change the image and so forth. Like with machine wash code with like colors hang dry, do not use fabrics often. Okay, so I'm gonna say here, oh, that probably wasn't actually, this is match polo. So okay, again, yeah, you can change the images to be more suitable for what this is. Again, this image was not a good seeded image. Seeded images don't make sense. There's a tennis racket as an image for a polo, for example. Right, I'm just going to give that a task. And again, you can see, like, I'm literally flying these tasks out, right? What AI makes logic answers, and what AI is undercover in chat. Not sure what you're asking me in the chat. Just rephrase that if you can. See this parent products with the wrong asset. I'm remapping and regenerating images. So apparel, rackets, and shoes each get a matching photo. Yeah, so something's definitely not matched. Right. This is all right. But yeah, look, bags. This is not bags. Yes, it's not matching things right. The seed script. So, but anyway, point is, let's say, for example, you bought some shirts. So this is actually going to be a shirt, right? Like machine wash code on gentle cycle. Then I can be like, let's just say I want a shirt. Or this is a skirt. So I want a piece of clothing. I'm doing this on purpose. I want a piece of clothing that I can wash on. So let's just say like a machine wash on code, right? Machine wash on code without any issues. Okay, but let's just say again, I'm being super fuzzy with the semantic meaning on purpose because I'm trying to show how Sanity's context works. Look, catalog checked. I found 2 apparel, but the summaries don't include specific care instructions. Let me check the full product details. And now it's checking the full product details. I found 2. Let's see. But I don't, what's it called? But I need to be honest. The product descriptions don't include specific care. Okay, so this is interesting. So that is a perfect product gap. Okay, so that's like, for example, you would only know that through observing chats, right? So in this case, if we were to go /studio, not this one, localhost /studio. Okay, so this is a great example of something like a content gap. So in this case, we go to Agent Insights, and then we go to Conversations. So here, I mean, right now we haven't got our analysis running, but this would be something where if I read this, you know, as an admin or so, The thing is, again, how would you know, right? That's where you would really want to have the gaps. But this would definitely flag as a content gap, right? And it will pop up and it'll say the product descriptions don't include specific care instructions or machine washing details. So in this case, we can actually go ahead and take, for example, this kind of chat and we can say improve, right? So in this case, you can go over here and you can simply say improve the agent so that it includes things like the washing care, for example. So improve the embeddings so that way answers like this would go ahead and actually get responded to correctly. Questions like this. Okay. And then we've got a few questions here. Sonocode says, do you think there is a need to build a UI for the pushing of the store to the website? Should we do it from the site studio? I'm referencing to the stuff we sell on the site, best practice. Do you think it should build up for pushing of the store to the website? I'm not sure what you mean. As in customizing the studio UI? Is that what you're asking me? In the meantime, while you reply to that, Edris says, bro, would you ever be interested in helping us build an e-commerce mobile application where users can either chat with the app or use their camera to get smart AI powered product recommendations? 100% we can build that. It's literally something I could build right now. So that's why I'm saying this stuff is very powerful. The miss is in the model. Wash care isn't in the product data or embeddings. I'm adding those fields, indexing them. Wash care isn't. It is in the embeddings. It is. I'm gonna put it here. And I'm going to pop this one as well in the mix. So copied current URL. It is in the I'm going to pop that in and say it is in the product. Now I want to see where we're at. Okay, so it's now stopped using the usage as much. So I believe it's starting to use this one, which is not actually using barely anything. Care is already on the product page. I'll point the running embeddings work at the existing field so the agent can retrieve it instead of washing. And look at this. It actually went to the existing agent, interrupted it, and said, actually, it is already in there. Already has free text care, but the agent never uses them. I'll load sanity rules and check live product plus embeddings field selection. And look, you see what it did? It says stop adding a new care schema if you're about to. No new user evidence. So very, very cool. Agents can communicate with each other, right? And it says you're right. The rally skirt already had the machine wash code on code site. The agent missed it because search was only looking at descriptions. I'm pointing embedding in context at the existing field care now. So it should include things like that. And again, this is where the content gaps can come into to fix things, right? Draft implementation plans. Is this not done yet? This one? Okay, so this is effectively doing that entire side quest for setting up the agent insights. But I actually agree with what it's doing here because it's setting it up as a separate data set, which is actually a much safer thing to do if you're worried about your data being, separate or not. Okay, so going back to here, I want to see something. If we click into this now, do we get that? Okay, nice. So inline chat product cards are now done. So if we go over here, help me choose, find a gift under $100. Boom. Typically, when you click that as well, it should actually auto enter the field, as in that auto submit. Search for products under $100. Find some great options for you. Great. I found 7 gift items. That's much better. Okay. That's a lot more useful, right? So you've got the court labs, you've got the rally house. That's a lot more like readable for someone to go ahead and see that, okay, I want this. I actually like this one. This looks pretty good. Court labs, rally skirt, right? But again, the pictures are throwing me off because this is not, this is where they'll fix it afterwards. Black 3, white, okay, white 12 pack, $9.50. Let's go ahead and check out and let's just see what happens here. Shipping details and so forth. Let's just type in Sunny. I'm just going to put in some dummy details here. Oops. Well, actually, complete demo order. Oh god damn it. At gmail.com. I don't know. I mean, obviously you would set that up correctly, right? 4242. Okay. And imagine your court bag is on its way. Figuratively, we got a confirmation. We have a payment status, which is simulated, return to the shop. Let's have a look at club account. Do we have our orders yet? I don't think so. Demo history only. Okay, so that was actually the second part, which it's now doing. So this was actually the part of the second plan over here. Okay. So this one is in a deep rabbit hole of solving that issue, which to be honest, again, isn't that big of a thing. This is it, Stega. Yeah, Stega compatible. It was actually here. So this is the one thing. It's a very strange thing, actually, addition. So I'll pass draft mode perspective, Stega into cached catalog fetches, and then keep Stega on rendered strings. It was this. Yeah, fetches with Stega false. I'll read. So I'm not actually sure what Stega actually meant, but I remember seeing this in the documentation and the videos as well when they released that tool. But the good thing is it found it again. So you don't necessarily need to know every single thing that it does. Right? Use existing care fields. Compact embeddings. I just want to highlight while we wait for that. Notice how like I didn't even have to stress with the authentication. It kind of blew me away with that. Like I kind of, let's not skip over how good that actually was, because that literally the CLI and the agent actually handled everything. And I didn't even have to go and check it. It did it such a good job and it configured everything that I would just, yeah, I can blindly trust it at that point, right? So you shouldn't blindly trust it. You should obviously check its work. But if I really want to add in like premium subscriptions for like free delivery, for example, for the court members, or only exclusive products for pro members, you could do that very easy by introducing clerk billing. So clerk billing is absolutely awesome. Again, you've got B2C and B2B billing. So if we go over here, clerk billing, you guys can see here, you get all of your payment flows, everything done for you. Again, the agent can implement the entire thing. So it's crazy easy to do. And again, for a lot of you that are wondering as well, it's the same price as Stripe. So because Stripe is actually under the hood of the billing side of things, so you just get a benefit to using it. So it's a no-brainer for me, right? Now, after this, come on, I want that. This is the big one that kind of needs to get through the mix. Fix mismatch seed images. This one is now publishing catalog images or unique and type match. I'll inspect the footwear, verify shop, and a few product pages. Okay. So one just finished. Finish inline product cards. That's done. Fix the cart provider now as well. Okay, leave the comment all blah. Okay. So W3MW says, if I would like to build this e-commerce with AI, what is the cost of having it with AI chat and so on? Or is Sanity for free in AI chat? So the AI side of things would be based on the model you use. I'm using Vercel AI Gateway, so you can choose which model. So again, I wouldn't use like you definitely not put in Fable inside that agent chat. But it really depends. So for example, if you had a B2B business, right? So like, let's say your customers are paying like $5,000 a month for your subscription because your app is amazing and it does a million things for them, then yeah, I would definitely give them a good model, probably Sonnet at that point, but you still don't need Opus at that point. They're not doing agentic workflows unless they might actually be in there. But realistically, Sonnet for their inquiries, for basic tool calls, is going to be enough, right? It's probably going to be really good for them, to be fair. A lot of the time, however, you could just use something like Haiku for a customer-facing chat, right? Or a GPT Luna, for example, 5.6 Luna. Again, it comes down to the price, and the cost would come down to your actual model that you're using and the frequency that it's called, because it's going to rack up more tokens, of course, right? So this one is now fixing shop parts, already show polo shoes and record. I'll scroll this. Okay, so now it's quite funny because it's actually going to, I believe, these images and checking them individually. So I took a screenshot. Yeah, like it's now checking that. It's actually rendering it in and then checking it, which is quite cool. You can actually go and pop in. Let's see if the browser, is it coming here? Command Shift B. Yep. So this is the browser. If you do Command Shift B, it will show you the one that it's actually using, which I think is kind of a fun thing to do a lot of the time. I usually have it open, see what the agent's doing if I'm a bit bored and watching. Designing task boundaries. So now it's basically approved its own plan, I believe. I think now it's going to start running with it. This is really being intensively in depth This is not, you don't have to do this, by the way, like the second data set. Okay. You could just go ahead and have it in the same data set, but I kind of wanted to see if that was, how good that would work. I couldn't finish the in studio. Click to edit, check from here, studio news, login. Okay. So Sanity presentation should be fixed now. So if we go over to presentation, let's go ahead and see. So inside the presentation, let's go and see. So it's trying to connect. It's connected. Amazing. Look at that. So now I can see the bags, apparel, and so forth. So if I click on that, we can actually see that the bags pop up, and I can actually see the description, the individual text. If I want to change this to be like bags 1, 2, 3, I'm in draft mode. Okay. So that means that the second I go away, cache disable. Yeah, you see cache is disabled, which is perfect for this. Boom. I can actually go ahead and edit it in line, and it changes it in 2 places here. Right. So that's pretty cool. If I want to go ahead and so none of this is changeable at the moment, but of course you could change that if you wanted to, right? Right now we can see all of the elements that are part of the CMS. Typically you should actually have these kind of elements in the CMS. Right now we're just doing the product information, but I would actually have each of those actually inside there as well. And then if you want to go back to the usage mode, you can actually just click through. So I believe we can click into it, or is there an interactive? I think it was open preview. Oh no, so not that one. Even if we try and do it now, you see how I get the overview and I can get the open in studio and so forth. So say for example, like this, right? Core Labs dry tack overgrip. Right, I'm inside of this page, I'm navigating it, but I want to change, for example, this image, right? Open in studio, I can click it now, and this is all presentation mode, right? And it will literally take me to presentation mode in that exact page, right? With that product up on the screen so that I can change, and it even popped up that image. That's crazy, right? So I can see here, look at that, amazing. And I can even go in, I can see more details like the base SKU. I can see what accessory it was part of. Really, really nice, okay? And that actually takes me to the overall accessory. So I probably would want to go to the actual item and then change the accessory type here, yeah? So amazing. Like really what you can do is pretty damn powerful. Okay. And then the edit obviously is how I can navigate instead. So if I click on this, I can actually navigate, versus when I click on this, I actually go into that mode of editing. Okay. So pretty cool on how that all works. Right. Let me change this now. Go back. Okay. Now we can see we've actually got our messages coming through, not being analyzed because we have the final part here. This needs to start. Let's just say start. Oh my God. Start the plan. Because that one's taking forever. Right? I kind of want that to be quick. It's really going in depth with it. Wow. I mean, look at that. It's proving that it's not a runtime thing and going into it and in depth and everything under the sun with it. Oh wow, it's a huge plan. Oh my God. Okay, no, actually, you know what? I don't know. This is a huge amount of thing just for one thing. Webhook receipt plan. I mean, we can do it. Let's see how it does. I mean, let's give it a little bit of a time frame. So okay. So plan saved and complete. Let's go ahead and let it do its thing. Private commerce dataset, signed in agent tools. Hopefully it spins up a couple of agents in parallel. Okay. So we've got execute agent reading required skills. And I'm going to say build out the plan in parallel, if possible, as fast as possible. As possible, right? So obviously it's going to go into like overdrive here. And this is me being a bit overkill, right? Because what I'm effectively doing here, which doesn't need to be done, by the way, right? So you don't actually have to do this, but I kind of wanted to see if we could do it, is if we go into manage project and we go into the data sets. So right now, all of our data inside of that studio view is inside of the production data set. Okay. Now, the second one that we're going to create is the commerce data set, which is basically going to be private. So you see the visibility of this is public. So the second one would be private. No documents are available without authentication. And this is going to be effectively with, so I'm not sure if we can use this as client facing. That's the only thing. So I'm wondering if it's figured that out or not. But it'd be interesting to see actually with that. So 4 work streams are running in parallel, each with its own files. But this is a good little test. We can see how fast Cursor Grok 4.6 is on extra high with the fast mode enabled. And it should be using this. I don't know why it's, I should use beyond limits consumes on demand spend. So I'm at 60% now. So let's see, because I believe everything now should be all from, I believe it could just be the fact because I'm in fast mode. Might be the reason, but anyway, let's burn it through and see. And we've got the own commerce foundation. We've got the auth cart launcher. We've got the insights classifier pipeline. So auth cart launcher meaning you have to be logged in. Insights classifier is basically the analysis, and then we've got the agent tools and prompts being updated. And this is going to be so it can fetch orders and so forth. Okay. 4 work streams and chat room stays with foundation, so those pieces can land without overwriting each other. Okay, so I'm wondering how quickly, but look at, that's actually very quick. Wow. So that's doing a ton quite quickly. So Levo says, smashing the like button straight away because I'm 100% sure it's a great video. I appreciate you so much, dude. Thank you. Yes, man, you said it all. Appreciate you, Sanity Code. And please, guys, honestly, feel free at this point, because it's the best time to ask me questions. Go ahead and ask me questions, right? Wondering, I'm very confused actually if this is actually using anything, or I'm getting billed. I don't know. If I'm getting billed, it'd be a very funny story at the end of this. But we'll see. Commerce data boundary. Let's see what this is. Application data set. So in this case, like we have the production, which is public, commerce private, allowed types, commerce to order, commerce to webhook, receipts, official sanity, agent, context, conversation, file number, CPC, payment tokens, and so forth. Embeddings must be disabled on commerce. Sanity context and datasets may query only production. I'm curious though, is this gonna let us do the? That's the thing. So I was really testing this because yes, it's actually a good thing to have separate one for really private stuff. But with this approach, does agent insights work for the agent chat? Does sanity agent insights, sanity agent insights and sentiment analysis work for agent chat? And again, remember, because the 4 sub-agents are working, it doesn't block the main thread. Yeah. Chat root stays with the foundation size. So the piece, okay. Yes, sentiment and AI insights only show up with this 2 layer setup, and that is what we are building. So what has to exist? Telemetry and also classification, but into the private commerce data set. Okay. Today you only have the raw conversation saved. The classifier was never deployed, so the dashboard up and score. What's the benefit? So I just want to see. I believe it's because of the private data, but what's the benefit of having the classification inside of the commerce data set instead of production data set? And this is really what I would recommend you all do, right? When you're using agents, when you're using new bits of tech, you should be asking questions, learning. This is what I do all day, every day, right? Classifiers, read the conversation document stores, putting those documents in commerce. It's about who can see customer chat, not about making sentiment more accurate. Okay, commerce is private and purpose-built for user-owned data. Okay. Okay, but if commerce is private, then how is the user going to see their own orders? That's a question I have then. Private means not in the public CMS, not invisible to a shopper. Customer signs when clerk, account pages, and okay, the client cannot pass. Server only sanity requires queries commerce for documents owned by that. Okay, so it just means authenticated access. The app returns just that customer's orders. Okay, I see. Got you. So that's what I meant. We actually did see that here. So if you see new data set, accessible with a token or by authenticated users. That's actually very good. Okay. That's the first time I've done that separately, actually. So just know the demo that I gave in the initial one, the initial brief, the kind of first demo I gave, didn't actually separate them. So if you made it this far, then you're an OG, and you definitely are going to get a little benefit by knowing that. That's actually quite cool to know. Agent tools and prompts. All right, so this one is starting to go crazy with the cart tools and so forth. Checked into production. Okay, so check cart tool output from snapshot. So let this do its thing. And quick little insight. Come on, Q. So I really don't know where we're getting billed right now because it's been stuck at 60% usage, and I've been burning through like quite a lot, I believe. Jay, if you can check on the back of cursors on the panel, maybe I want to see if we're just getting billed. I don't know. I feel like we might be getting billed, but I don't know. If we are, it's fine. We've got credits, but tokens and stuff in the back that we need to use. But yeah, it's just curious. Seed sanity is now being fixed. Let's see. Owner scoped agent tools and system prompt and publish sanity context instructions. So remember, I kind of want to run over that point again. You have your instructions or your system prompt. So if we go to your system prompt, we have the system prompt inside of, it was agent config system prompt. No, it wasn't this one. It was system prompt. Yeah. So this one, we do hard-coded, as in, you could shift this if you want, but this one has a point of being hard-coded because we don't want it to change. And then if you want to have things that your product team can change that don't require your development team, then you can simply go ahead, head over to your structure tab, go to your agents tab, and then we see Sanity Context, and then we can go ahead and it's moving the conversations, I see, over to the other one. Interesting. Okay. And we can see Grok Club Storefront. And this one will have the instructions that can be updated. Okay. I'm curious as well if this is going to show where we have the dropped. So in our Sanity Studio, I wonder if we can actually push towards on-demand usage is $0. Oh, okay. So we're not getting billed. All right. Publish context version 2. I check with the foundation rebuild. Then commit only a size. So it is actually doing intentional commits, I believe. If we have a look over here, yeah, we're starting to get more intentional commits. That's good. But I mean, we still got a chunk of stuff that hasn't been committed, which is not the best thing. But still, the fact that these are not, 100 file commits is better. Insights classifier pipeline. Let's have a look. So reboot CLI for save flags. I'll keep the existing cart and partition storage and merge. But effectively, what we will be doing is, I'm just looking at the usage Jay sent me. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm wondering if I can, let me save this actually and show you guys. So Jay just sent me a screenshot of the usage, right? And I really want to show you guys something because this is pretty insane. So I was thinking the whole time that I wasn't getting billed, right? But it was genuinely that cheap. Wow. Okay. So if I go to, look at this, guys. That's awesome. Holy crap. So you guys can see here, he sent me a screenshot, right? So this is basically today, right? Because this is what I've done today. So I used like 100 million tokens on like GPT 5.6, which is why I was going crazy through usage. And you can see like 36%, 16% and so forth. And again, I was on fast mode for a lot of that, which used up a lot of my usage. Yeah. Now look at the Cursor Grok 4.6 usage, 45 million tokens, and it was 1.4%. That's insane. Like, that's very good. Wow. And remember, you're pretty close to the frontier performance of Fable and GPT 5.6. So that's pretty huge, actually. Agent tools and problem added owner scoped. Cool. Private data stays out Grok and embedding. So I would be very impressed with with Grok 4.6 if this comes through and it's working perfectly the way that we expected it. Now, I do have a next question for this. I'm going to say, in Sanity Studio, is it possible to see the commerce data set as well as the production data set? How does that work? So remember, inside of Sanity, we have, this is all looking at the production data set, right? And also you see how the agent insights is no longer here. So curious. Okay, so it looks like the production stuff is inside of this Sanity Studio. And I wonder, then we would have to look at the separate. So one studio can attach to both datasets as two workspaces in the same project. Sanity workspace just named, okay. In this setup, catalog, production, operations. They do not show documents, they don't cross-reference. Who sees on ACL? Who sees what is ACL? So, not sure what they mean by ACL. Not the drop-down. Catalog or editors can appear. Access control list. Okay, so Sanity is okay, so production commerce. So commerce is private is an ACL. So anonymous visitors and catalogs get denied. Clerk login does not change that. Next.js have used a privilege token. Okay, so it does that, right? So it can do that one. Sanity ACL, can this token use touch? Okay, so what about for an admin? So right now, what about for an admin? So if I'm a admin of my Sanity entire project, if I go into the studio, what do I see? And where is the setting for this? Right, so Sanity. This is such a British thing. Sanity. I mean, it's smart enough to know. Okay, so if we go over here, I believe that could actually be down to, so in admin studio, you can pick the operations and workspace to see what the lock is: manage, then datasets, then commerce, then private. Okay, so Sanity manage, open the project, datasets, production versus commerce. Commerce is private. Related admin screens and say API tokens, catalog read only. Oh, I see. It could be the members who may open datasets, block catalog and green. Okay. So admin in studio, you can pick the operations, what's going to see all the insights. The lock is managed. So we can see here, look, private court club, webhook receipts, redacted agent, inside conversations, not for public catalog or context. All right. Interesting. I mean, it technically is for context. So we could add maybe a second studio. Members. Interesting. Okay. So again, this could be like AI kind of messing things up here. It's a project admin. So so how can I see the agent insight tab? Because I can't see a way here. Okay, so embedded studio local. Oh, / operations. And switch workspace drop down top left to operations commerce. So we don't have a drop down for operations or commerce. But I mean, did it do that? Did it actually create a studio for that? Let's have a look. That's pretty cool if it did. Look, so let's go to our app. So source app. Studio. So no, it didn't do that. Localhost rules as operations. Interesting. I'm going to see if that's actually a thing. I don't think that is a thing. Operations. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. This is where it can hallucinate, right? Again, this could be Grok 4.5 being silly here. Check the docs is what I would always say. Oh, I'm hoping it didn't screw up one thing. So this is the danger when you kind of let AI kind of run on its own, because my worry is that private data set isn't going to be visible to a studio member. Oh, so again, say that's going to give you the real URL and clicks. The commerce studio uses base path operations. Okay, so it could be actually inside of Sanity here. So if we go to studio snaps, so interestingly enough, I can see Core Club 10 say, oh, but this hasn't been deployed. Yeah, as in like hasn't been updated or deployed. Like this one would be old, I believe. Yeah, because this still has all the old stuff, and so this needs to be redeployed. Repo companies get insights live in a separate commerce studio, not an extra. Next up, Pork, Sanity current docs and the project hosted studio list. Yeah, we haven't deployed a studio. Okay, so we have to have it on separate studios. And in the meantime, what's this one saying? This one is for do not insert foundation work, absorb, do not read image. Okay. Private commerce, studio insights of /operations. But that's also thinking that there's a /operations, but okay. Okay, so separate Sanity studio. Okay, so what is actually configured? We have our public catalog and our commerce is studio commerce sanity config.ts. So this would be base path, okay, on context plugin. Absent operations, no next word. So for navbar workspace dropdown, commerce dev, it's just open operations, studio bar, okay, direct tool. So now these are two studios, not tabs, catalog. Commerce insights, run npm sanity. Can we not deploy? So I want to see. Can you not deploy it on /operations? /operations or something similar? You can be mapped. It's obviously a space path, not next.js page sentiment. Still needs to send a file. A 10-minute idle thread after a 10-minute idle thread after a send in chat. So agent insights is available there, same as /studio. Okay, so interesting. So we could have a separate /operations. Let's see if it actually works. I'm embedding the commerce studio and I'm okay. Studio patterns, and embedding documents. So we're going to put a second studio over there. So this config would be this is very experimental, by the way. This is me kind of going out on a kind of tangent here. Grab instant implementation methods. I'll check course configuration, check the commerce use client, matching the current scale. Okay. I think this will actually work because you can get a trusted sanity token for this as well. So effectively it will look something, and again, we need to redeploy these ones, that's fine. But you could effectively have something at /operations, which could be all of the private stuff. Now, as to how good that is, I mean, it's good because the user would never get access, or that data is never public, unlike the production dataset. So that has actually got a benefit there. You can only get it by having a clerk ID, and then you get a trusted sanity token in return, and then you can view the dataset. Okay. And now it's going to add the catch-all. So this catch-all is, you see, operations with a catch-all, page.tsx, similar to how .studio did, except this is going into the commerce config. And you can see now this is pushing to the project ID and dataset of commerce, with the base path being operations. So what we will do is we'll have something like this, /operations. And look at that. That is pretty cool. Okay. So this is, I mean, I believe you could actually go ahead and have like a drop down that could probably separate the two workspaces or data sets. But again, like it's a step in the right direction though, because now we can see agent insights. So I'm wondering, does the chat come through here? Well, no conversations yet, but that might be because we haven't started a new chat yet in this view. So let's disable draft mode and let's go ahead and do find a gift under $100. And as soon as we see a response, okay, so we should be able to see a chat. Okay, interesting. Me, probably not done yet. So, and then what I'll do is I'll push this in. I'll say it's likely because Sanity Insight integration is probably pushing to the wrong data set. The agent chat, let's just say the agent chat isn't pushing to the new commerce data set. But this is very cool. Like we have a lot of parallel flows happening. And look, 2%. That's wild. Okay, so I'm very impressed with Grok 4.6 usage. User bug. So it pushed the user bug to that chat as well. Chat save hook, commerce hook, and now it's exploring all the files. And again, super quick as well. So it's arguably, it's going to be a very interesting time seeing these models kind of fight against each other. So disabled. So look at that. That was there. Is it disabled commerce insights enabled flag or missing sanity? Okay. Next.js must be restarted. Redactions are spam. Authenticated agent it was not sure because okay. %, hit the like button and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. So look at this. Sanity commerce. We're actually missing a lot of the keys here. Okay, we're like deep in a rabbit hole right now, but it's actually a very cool little interesting thing that we're going up against right now. I also want to check something as well, and I'm going way on tangents here, but I do want to check something. I want to say if is it possible inside of a studio to have a drop down on the top left, which allows us to select between the different deployed studios, or for example, go between production and commerce data sets? Because that would be very cool. Maybe even if it redirected us to the other URL, that would be a very, very good thing like to have. So I'm curious if you could do that. Yes, Sunny calls that workspaces. One studio configure drop down top that each item is different data set. Maybe we should have just done that. That would have been the whole thing. Same login, same each was keeps on data set testing tools. What you have now is two separate studios. Data set does not change that. Okay. Oh my God. Yes. Why didn't we just do that? Yes. That's much better. In addition, you can see that. So this is still debugging what's going on over there. So I'm combining two studio configs into one workspace. Okay, so it's called Workspaces. Okay, so you literally just define the workspace. I should have done that in the beginning. Wow. Okay. Anyway, it's cool. It's good. At least that was a very good learning opportunity. Actually, I didn't know that before. So now pull official workspaces in Next.js embedding docs and then inspect the current studio configs. Very quick, this new model. Wow. Official saying confirms merging both in a single. Yeah. Subtitle and icon as well. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So we'll have two effectively workspaces here. And they remain as siblings as well. Okay. We're almost at the end. So here we have, this is cool because what this is doing now is just debugging the, this thing saying talks about secrets. So it's basically checking across all the different like kind of touch points on what it could be. Never map to commerce. I'll set the local flag and secret swap print values, then confirm a commerce, right? Present locally, but never map to commerce insights. So we never actually configured the new dataset insights. Confirm sibling based parts. Okay. And the shared defined aspirant. Yep. Verified. Okay. I'm checking the sanity defined config. Let's check on this one. I'm actually blown away. I feel like, damn, I could have done so much on instead of saving the 60% with the Grok 4.6 learning moment for sure. Remember, guys, though, this is also because it's also 50% off through August 19th. So factor that in, plus factor that I'm also in fast mode. So I'm kind of like running through a bill, but again, because it's 50% off, it's obviously a big win. Okay, so this is now doing this thing. Verify official save. I'm wondering if it actually did the Ernst goes hello. Oh, what's up, dude? I recognize the name. Our studio working. Multiple workspaces can change CLI schema extra. I'll confirm the official deploy. Okay, so I'm measuring the root file. Keep the, now it's doing it. So it's starting to pull it into the same file. So in a moment, we should see. Oh, look at that. That's sick. Okay. So now we have workspaces like catalog and operations. So right now I'm in operations. I can go to catalog. Wow, awesome. And you can completely customize the view as well. So if I go to operations now, separate data set entirely, we can see the orders, webhook receipts. Webhook and receipts is an interesting one actually, because I don't know where that is actually being held. Didn't look into that. But we can see the conversations now as well. Look at that, boom. Yes, that's it. Can you recommend a match towel? So this is actually pulled up, but I want to see if this works. Ask Court Club. Let's do, can you help me to find a gift under $100? Now let's see, is this actually pushing through to that? I'll search for a gift under $100, catalog checked. So it's now having a chat, but is it going through? Probably isn't wired. Oh, no, it did. Yes, it did. Nice. Look at that. Great finds. So what kind of player? That will help me narrow down the best fit. Yes. There we go, guys. So that's working awesome. Next up, we have, so that's actually crazy good. Wow. Okay. So now we've got literally, there's no chance of that getting leaked public because it's private. Amazing. Now I want to check while that's happening. Let's try a purchase because our order should be able to go through. So that's annoying. Okay, so this one, is there still a push test commerce? That should drop down. Okay, so it did work. Club green, add to court. Let's go ahead and add that. Let's just buy one item. So continue to check out. Let's just do a quick little checkout. Okay, and then let's do 4242 4 times. Oh, ABC, and then let's do 1231 1 2 3. Complete order. So your court bag is on its way. Return to the shop. Now we don't actually have a page for the bag, I don't think, but what should have happened is an order should have gone through. So over here now in operations, we should see in structure orders. Okay, so the orders isn't getting processed yet, which means that it hasn't finished that bit. Well, that's awesome that worked in the first place. So that did it. Now, hard refreshing since nice. Okay, so sentiment still waits an hourly classifier and a 10-minute idle thread. Workspace drop down is still in flight. So that means that in 10 minutes, we should actually have sentiment analysis because we've deployed it, which you can check, by the way, by going to functions. So you see here, functions, and then we have a file. So this functions file is basically how we handle the deployments for the Court Club, Shopping Assistant, Anthropic, Haiku 4.5. And this is how the classification happens. And I believe this will run, if we go to manage projects, I believe you can look at your functions that have been deployed. That's a first for me actually, but I mean, I did it, but oops, what did I do? Okay. I think we look at it here. Okay. Anyway, that's going to go ahead and deploy a cloud function basically for us. Now, the actual demo itself. So placed dummy. I placed a dummy order and I don't see the order or an orders page for that matter after being redirected after placing a dummy order. And then when I check the commerce dataset, I don't see the order inside of there. Also, explain to me what the webhook is inside of commerce dataset. So the webhook I'm talking about, by the way, is this one here. So, where is it? Yeah, webhook receipts. So this is probably obviously the receipt that fires off to the user. But again, where does that run? I actually don't know. So this will kick off after 10 minutes idle. So we can give that, so again, 3 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, so probably around 4 minutes time. Webhook in commerce is not an order, it's an audit receipt for the dummy payment callback. Checkout, so no card data, your dummy checkout almost certainly never created that order document. Order were left off until commerce rights secrets exist. And there is no orders page to land on. I'm wiring persist confirmation now, so a signed in dummy purchase shows up in operations as well. And I'm also going to say, also add a quick dummy checkout so I don't have to pre-fill all of the dummy inputs. Just that's me being lazy. Yeah, I should not have this many tabs open. What's going on? Close all. Yeah. Now, in hindsight, from learning from how much we did with Grok, I am super impressed. So let me know in the comments, would you rather use Grok 4.6 here to get to the point that we were at, or would you use GPT 5.6 Sol? Because I'm very much split now, and I think I would probably be using Grok 4.6 way more, having known the success that it just had. And it actually did some very, very cool, powerful stuff. Don't get it messed up. It did not mess that. I done that really well. What it just did. And it done it so quick. The API already persists owner scopes. Orders, checkout never calls it. So next I'll check environment flags, can't line shape, and success account UI we need to wire. Let me know, do you guys want the code for this one as well? So if you do, let me know, and after the live stream ends, I can actually go ahead and do something and push it up. Then we'll land on the same checkout fix, a one-click dummy fill, so you can place order without typing fill. Okay. Cool. So this shouldn't take too long now. And then we're pretty much at the end. Cool. So I'm going to give a little wrap up as this kind of builds in, that final feature. So the whole thing that made this possible, right? So diving back over to Sanity Context. We've already seen Sanity before for Sanity Studio. It's absolutely incredible, where all of our content will live there, enables our content teams, our product teams to come in, edit, modify things, push them live, and not have to ask a developer to redeploy everything, right? So it's absolutely amazing, just even for that single feature, and it does way more than just that, right? You can check out here as well. They do tons of stuff. Now, Sanity Context is one of their newest features, and it's an MCP endpoint that we gave to that AI agent, the little thing in the corner that we end up talking to. and basically exposes a bunch of tools, as well as enabling it to, for example, understand the entire schema, all of the things inside of it, as well as combining things like structured retrieval and semantic search. And that includes, if you deep dive under the hood, creating the vector embeddings for you, storing them, managing the updates of the vector embeddings, all of that, combining that with hard constraints, right? So structured retrieval, meaning like if I want to go ahead and say, get me, I want to buy some comfortable shoes, right? But they have to be size 10. You're mixing semantic, comfortable shoes with size 10, a hard constraint, right? So doing that without this is, you have to actually think about a ton of different things. How do you keep it up to date and all this other stuff? This is what Sanity Context solves. And it's naturally in a place where you already store your product information, which I think is a really huge, actually, advancement in what they've done here, right? It's actually amazing for like any kind of support or customer facing bot, in my opinion. I would definitely be putting this in a lot more into my own production apps. I would have one click dummy. Let's see. Where's this one at? Okay, so we've got our tokens are all been put inside. Commerce dataset exists. So confirm deployed launch and what local tokens can write to it. Then implement the checkout wiring. Test commerce rights and set local flags. So it's now doing a little test. Let's just say do pages in parallel if you can. So the whole time we pretty much had multitask on, and it's definitely handled me throwing heavy things at it. User asked to do parallel rescope your own checkup systems. One click dummy fill only. Do not build a confirmation orders. A sibling will. Nice. And look at that. Boom. Spun up a second agent. 2 tracks are running in parallel. So now it should be a bit quicker. The UI is clean. Yeah, it's very, very clean. For this or for the actual tennis app? The orders feature already exists in the feature. Read this contrast API. Okay. I was asking when they will come with the MCP. Now here they are. Good job, Sanity team. Yeah, absolutely killing it, guys. And remember, they have 2 MCPs, right? One is for your coding harness, obviously to interact with your actual Sanity account. This is Sanity Context. It goes towards your actual custom agent that's been deployed on the site. So it could be any agent that you create that is basically more like, think of it more like customer facing or like internal team facing. It really depends, like whatever custom agent you have, typically a chatbot, is one example of it, but that's not the only use case. You can enable that to have understanding, insight of your entire schema with all the features I spoke about, right? Okay, let me check out wiring to commerce account was listed. Check out will direct to, okay. And then here we go. So I'll pull cloud menu. Okay, so I'm very impressed with how fast that is. 18 files, 7 searches, and 2 tools. Wow. Growing the account page wraps auth in suspense. This is the right pattern. Putting a shared server helper. Preferred of the API because it, okay. Customer not found is live. Okay, handle missing orders gracefully. It's really thinking about every single corner as well. On checkout system. Okay. This is the demo order. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and change everything, but that right there is a dangerous thing that AI does a lot. As unknown as something. This is literally breaking. I'm not going to tell it to go through, but I want you guys to know. If you ever run into this or you see this anywhere in your code base, do a full code audit and say never do as unknown casting and never has as any. Because basically what this is doing is it breaks the TypeScript definition here, because it's basically saying this is unknown, and then it recasts it to something else, which is basically like defeats the purpose of type safety. Checkout was local. It generated a fake CC ID. Never called post API. Called something. Now it does. On checkout, click use dummy details. If you want, then place a dummy order. Okay. Let's go ahead and give it a try in the meantime. So now actually do match checkout. We might as well wait for this one to finish because otherwise we'll hit a screen that dies. You're absolutely welcome, Ernst. That's a good question. Oh, like good statement. Jay, screenshot that and send it to the team over at Sanity. It's pretty cool. Order status. Okay, we should be done in a sec. Pretty quick though. Wow, look at that layout page loading. Bam, like super quick. I'm so impressed with Grok's usage. Actually crazy. Jay, if you don't mind, could you send me another screenshot of the included usage breakdown? I want to see how many tokens we used and then the difference in the kind of usage. So the commerce webhook document is still only the clerk user all along the dummy order. Okay. And I also want to check, does the commerce webhook now get used? And again, obviously in production, I would be checking through. Like that's one thing I want to stress here. I would be truly like checking through every single thing. Right now, obviously we're on a live demo, so I'm kind of like flying through stuff, but you can see here, we've got an orders tab now. I can see that no match day receipts yet. Let's go ahead and buy something. So, but actually before we do that, the thing I was going to mention is, I've got so many tabs open, it's crazy. But if we were here, for example, Agent Insights, what the heck is this? Not tool found. Oh, yeah. Studio. Yeah, we got rid of that one. So this is the kind of front facing. And then we go to operations, Agent Insights. So we should have sentiment analysis very soon. So 13 minutes ago. Sentiment analysis should have kicked off. So that's a little thing that I need to actually fix. Sentiment analysis hasn't kicked off yet. Investigate why. So not for dummy checkout. Commerce is an audit log for clerk use deleted when clerk tells the user the server stores a receipt and oh, I see. Okay, so it's why in scheme is meant to use, but it's not live yet. So clerk can deliver those meant to you. Deletions will write receipts. Okay, so we don't need to actually verify that part, so we can actually ignore that. That's a bit overkill. What we're going to do, but I'm going to get to investigate what's going on with this one. But let's actually see the orders over here. And if we were to place an order now, so let's go ahead and buy this bag. And again, you would actually have all these pages statically generate, in my opinion. That would be awesome. So it would be so fast. Like this website would be unbelievably quick. Add to cart bag, continue to checkout, like orderless loading. You can pretty much get it done easily. Use dummy details or place, yeah. Dummy details applied, place dummy order. Okay, so we have a checkout page, boom. We have our order, the bag, okay. And then if we go over to, oh, we can actually see it there, look. Orders, I can see my order, boom. Okay, simulated no charge demo is processing, right? So now that's actually yeah, there you go, bam. Awesome stuff. Great. Okay. So orders are now fully private. Okay. So these aren't public. This is, you need a token to even see this page, or you need a token to actually go ahead and pull this information. But that is not publicly sitting there, unlike product information. Can we add 2 items? Yeah, of course we can. It's a good question. So let's go ahead and give it a try. One more try. So let's go ahead and add in a club white, forest M. Let's also add in one more thing. Like 3-ball tube. And also before this, I'm going to say, what's in my cart? What's in my cart? Let's see what it can, see if it should have like go ahead and showcases that out. So I'll check your cart for you. Catalog checked. It's catalog checked. I don't know if that's checking. You've got 3 items in your cart. Oh no, it did. Yeah, it did. Ready to proceed and check out. Or would you like to adjust anything? I don't know if you can remove something. Remove 1 item. Let's see. I appreciate it. Okay, I can only view your cart. Yeah. So we can give it a tool, obviously, if we want to do that. But in this case, there you go, working perfectly. Let's go to checkout. Close this out. Dummy details applied. Place dummy order. And now we've got, that's actually the demo order. One second, that's interesting. So I didn't add the dummy. So second order with multiple things inside of it. Is this because of the baseline athletic rocket bag? So let me add a couple of shoes. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go to the bag. Change checkout. Use dummy details. Okay, so I didn't actually do it correctly. So I kind of waited for it. But let's see now if it did it. Place dummy order. It should have 3 items. Took a bit longer there. That's correct. Okay. So the whole dummy flow. The reason why that's happening is because I've added this dummy flow. But if we click it now, we should have, yeah, there you go. 2 orders. Okay. So now if I say to it, show my orders, it should be able to find our orders. And again, all of this is very much like quite powerful stuff because that shows that this is specifically authenticated just for this user. So it can't get someone else's random, order details. Amazing. Okay. Status processing. Nice. Cool. All right. So that's working. And then I guess the only thing left is the classifier. So let's go over to Agent Insights. That will be the final bit on the like kind of icing on the cake, and then you don't understand. We've built such an incredible thing here in like 3 hours. It's crazy. All right, so debug missing sentiment. Let's have a look. So function is deployed to commerce, but environment has Anthropic API key instead of AI. Ah, there you go. It's missing a key. I'm wondering if you can use the Anthropic, the AI Gateway API key. Let's have a look. And that's literally it. I was wondering, it should have done it. Like, you can trigger it. When you set it up, it can trigger, so it doesn't wait. An AI Gateway key can be created via the following. Prior sub-agent was on set. As far as live, but looks for AI Gateway 1 only. Anthropic key is set. I'll create a gateway key and set it accordingly. I don't know if that's the key, was it? Or let me just double check something. Okay. Yo, what's up, Piyush? I understand now you mean adding 2 items once. Yeah, you can add 2 items. These operations eat tokens. How will we handle if 500 visitor operates with chat and these tokens nothing bought? Again, it's a trade-off. So you're obviously paying. Think of your AI agent on the landing page as like an employee. There will be a cost associated with obviously helping your customers with the intent to obviously help convert more sales. What's that? So I'm wondering is it actually able to create a key here? I'm curious. But either way, I mean, I'm being lazy here. I could just go get a key, to be honest with you. But I'm just curious. I'm wondering if it can actually, given that it has Vercel CLI access, can it get a key? And I think it did. Yeah, it did. Okay. So it went ahead and got a key. So there you go. If you got Vercel CLI connected, you can actually get the API key, API to set that key for you. I'll confirm the key success, then run a local classifier against commerce so we don't wait for the next hourly cron. Okay. So now what we should see is an analysis, and it should be using Haiku. Run local classifier. Wow, this is very, very in-depth. This is cool. Is this codex? This is cursor. Like, I'm amazed at that. Wow. Okay, so Jay just sent another usage one. And I mean, I'm just going to show this bit here. But like you guys can see, look. Extra high fast mode, 70.2 million tokens, 100 million tokens, 2.9% usage. That's insane. Like crazy. Piyush goes, you did not provide the queries like file like in your previous ones. Again, remember, the goal is like, look, let's say I gave you, because I really want this point to land. Let's say I gave you all the exact queries I used, right? AI would truly be like, it's non-deterministic. So even if I gave you the exact same, calls as prompts as I used, you wouldn't get the same outcome. Even if we use the same model and everything, it would be different every time. So it's it's worth knowing that that's the case. Like execute function execute. It's more important for you to understand how to operate and use agents, because that way, oh, look at this, nice, oh, it works. Okay, and there you go. We've got our sentiment analysis, right? Amazing. So you guys can see just by installing the skills, we can go ahead and get everything up and running. Look at this. Find a gift card under $100. Amazing. That's it. In this case, there was no content gaps identified, but I did show you guys earlier on how you can use that. And look at this. We even have 2 separate workspaces with the drop down. Absolutely awesome stuff. Can we operate Sanity with this project? Features with the free plan? Yeah, you can. Yep, you absolutely can. The only thing you get, because remember, the AI cost itself is from your API key, so your AI gateway. So you could use either an AI gateway or the API key. It's completely up to you, right? You can see I'm actually already on this screen from a different user. Okay, awesome stuff. So I think in that case, it's worth doing a dial-in rundown of everything we did. You guys saw in 3 hours, right? We were able to build the entire thing again from scratch. Like, that's huge, and a totally different use case. I showed you the difference between, different models, which in my opinion was absolutely huge finding, by the way. Grok 4.6, even though, yes, we get 50% discount up until August 19th, that's a huge, like, kind of win over, the usage kind of things. And it actually conquered a very hard task. And it did it really quick, which is amazing. The design was absolutely incredible from GPT 5.6, so that was awesome. And then Jay just sent me another screenshot, and you guys can see here, look at this, just crossed over 100 million tokens at 3% usage. That's absolutely nuts. So go and try that right now, the Grok 4.6. I feel like you're all going to be pleasantly surprised. Like, it's absolutely huge. And then when it comes to using GPT 5.6, I would use it directly with Codex instead, because it tends to be way more efficient over there, right? But today we built an entire tennis app, right? Looks beautiful, works app. This is literally ready to go to production, right? You can go ahead and check out right now. The only part that we didn't do is the payment side. You can place your orders, and then over on the back end, you guys can see that this one is going to go ahead and get processed right now. Over on the back end, we can go into, we've got a separate protected operations side of things. In this case, this is not publicly available information, whereas the other one is, right? And just to go ahead and highlight what I'm talking about there, look, you got your orders there. If we go to manage project, you guys can actually see here in Datasets. So we go over to Datasets here. Boom, look, the production is obviously public, the e-commerce private. Okay, so very, very important, it's private, right? And I believe you do get 2, included with the free plan. So you guys can feel free to literally do that yourself as well, right? Actually crazy, right? And even rows, custom rows, you can add in specific rows can access this without having to do the token acknowledgement side of things. If you guys want to get the access to this code as well, let me know, because it was actually a big deep dive and we learned a lot. But the main thing that I want to stress today is how we were able to absolutely get so much insight from Agent Insights, from Sanity Context. We have the entire agent powered up from Sanity Context, the MCP server, and it just is perfect. Look at that. What should I wear for match day? You go ahead and talk to it, and it will literally pull everything from the catalog, create vector embeddings if that information is ever updated. Go ahead and handle all of that for us. You don't have to do anything, and your product team have zero understanding of the entire thing. And the whole thing was done from me sitting here prompting. right? So in this case, we installed the skills, we did all that stuff. It's crazy, guys. Like all of this, like as soon as I change something, the embeddings will immediately update. And again, like if there's loads of updates, it will batch it together. Crazy, right? Are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Let's just say advanced. And of course, we can't forget about our hero when it comes down to it is Clerk, right? Like you guys saw, like we literally ran through that so quick. Right? Let me go ahead and show you this one. Look, firstly, that it actually worked. So firstly, the chat works. It's amazing, right? That's so clean. But Clerk, and look, even added in a custom drop down for the orders. So clean, right? But this right here, again, that's the only thing we can fix that ourselves. That was my own little code mistake. But if we sign out, you can see the core is now blocked. So if you want to use that, it will pop up a nice little pop-up here. But the main winner here today was Clerk CLI for me, because this set up everything for us, including every single thing inside of the dashboard, right? So over on the Clerk dashboard, we didn't have to do anything. Our agent set up everything and it was able to get it dialed in and nailed on, right? So in this case, at Court Club Tennis, all of this was set up. Now, the amazing part is, let's say we want to push to production. Now, at this point, all I have to do is I can tell my Sanity, my Clerk, and my Vercel, my agent with those plugins installed and skills installed, I want to now deploy to production. Vercel will be able to do it because it has all the skills installed. Sanity will be able to help me distinguish the environment so we don't have any mistakes. Prime example would be setting up a development data set instead of the production one. So that way we can safely modify things in a test environment. And then the final part would be Clerk, of course, to go ahead and shift this to production, right? It'll be able to do all of it and link all of our environment variables, do everything. So all you would need to do is go ahead and say, I want to push to production, tell me how to do it. And it will literally do the entire thing. So it's absolutely crazy. Power says, can you explain Sanity in 1 minute? The easiest way is go to sanity.io, right? They're effectively a content operation platform, as you can see here. They do a ton of stuff. So all of the content that you see on a lot of these very popular websites, Spotify, Skims, everything that you see here, basically, the content that is on their actual page, right? We can update it through a CMS typically, right? So the CMS that they use is Sanity, and it's live by default, which means as soon as you go ahead and update things on the page, it will go ahead and update for that website. It's got tons of additional things. That's all part of the content lake, by the way. And then, of course, we have things like the studio, which is how we're able to easily go ahead and, not just us, but our product teams come in and be able to basically modify things without having to have any developer insight or anything like that, which is, by the way, massively overlooked for loads of developers. They get a shock of their lifetime, and I've spoken to a lot of devs who have had that. And then Sanity Context, which we covered today, which is the MCP endpoint that gives our agent the structured retrieval and semantic search, which basically takes all of our contents, the product, collections, brands, whatever you have in here, handles all the vector embeddings. We don't need to have something like Pinecone or convex embeddings handled elsewhere. And then we were able to connect it up to our agent, and Sanity guided us the entire way. If we go to read the docs one more time, you can see here, simply installed this skill, used this prompt, and Sanity helped us do the entire thing. Absolutely incredible build. I'm really, really happy with this one. I feel like we absolutely nailed it from end to end. And yeah, guys, if you enjoyed it as well, and you saw as well the observability benefits, by the way, with Agent Insights, crazy. So even then, when the agents are chatting to our users, all of this is being powered, again, via Sanity. Right? We're inside the Sanity Studio, 2 different workspaces. Again, a new thing for me that I did as well, which I thought was really cool. And then the sentiment analysis, all running through our Vercel AI Gateway. There you have it, guys. Absolutely massive build. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to end up keep on answering tons of questions. Someone said, I was saying the project is amazing, and I'm going to be going ahead and building it myself. Yeah, go ahead and give it a try, guys. And of course, use the first link in this description to go, or all 3 links in the description to sign up to Sanity and Clerk. It tells them, of course, that you came from this YouTube channel, and that means the world to me because it allows me to keep on doing this for absolutely free. And of course, if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Join our new community, Zero to AI Hero. The link is in the description. We'll be opening the doors very shortly. And of course, if you're on the wait list, you'll be one of the first members to be inside of our amazing community. And trust me when I say, all of our members inside that community are going to be ahead of the game. So if you want to be one of them, you know where to go. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.